Check your mics, please. You on?
Well, I have the
Check.
All right,
Testing, 1, 2, 3, okay.
testing, yep, there we go.
okay. Good evening. The meeting of the Borough of Somerville Board of Adjustment for August 19th will please come to order. Adequate notice of this meeting as required by the Open Public Meeting Act has been provided that on January 15th, 2026, a copy of the notice specifying the date, time, and location was posted on a bulletin board outside of Borough Hall, given to the clerk administrator, mailed, faxed, or emailed to the Courier News, and posted on the Borough website. If any member believes that this meeting is being held in violation of the Open Public Meeting Act, please state your views at this time. These proceedings are of judicial nature. Only those items on the agenda will be addressed by the board, and proper judicial decorum must and will be maintained. Next item, roll call.
Chairman Adair,
Here.
Ed Allett,
Here.
Roberta Karpenitz,
Here.
Morgan McLaughlin, Rich O'Neill,
Here.
Brian Budimski,
Here.
John Flores,
Here.
Eric Alvarez,
Here.
Stuart Daniels.
Here.
We have a quorum. Do we have any conflicts?
I do, for the last application.
Okay, all right, no problem. Next item, roll call, Pledge of Allegiance. After the Pledge of Allegiance, I would ask everybody to remain standing as we observe a moment of silence on the passing of our former board clerk, Joyce Nips. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I guess Joyce was our secretary for about, 10 years, Rich? At least, okay. And she was replaced by Tony Wortman, who was there for like 15, and now we have Brian. Okay, next item. We have any minutes?
No, the minutes will not be on the agenda for tonight.
Okay. Resolutions?
No resolutions.
Okay, all right. Next item on the agenda, take it.
It's going to be the hearing for application 2026-013Z, applicant 79 3rd Street, subject property 79 3rd Street, block 59, lot 10.
Would you enter your appearances, please?
Yes, good evening, members of the board. Michael Ogrodnik, Savok Shock Law Firm in Somerville, New Jersey, on behalf of the applicant, ARC Development Group, LLC. Seated to my left is Sahaj Patel. He's the sole managing member of the LLC. Would you like to swear him in?
Yes.
Yes.
Would you please stand, sir, and raise your right hand? You solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Please state your name and spell your last name for the record.
Sahaj Patel, Patel.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Ogrodnik, will you give us a little background on this?
Sure. So, if you recall, we applied for a minor subdivision ND for floor area ratio variance relief to subdivide 79 3rd Street into two single-family residential lots. That was approved on October 1st. It was memorialized by way of resolution on December 3rd, 2025. And since that time, Mr. Stires has been working through some of the compliance items. And under the MLUL, you have 190 days from the adoption of the resolution to file the minor subdivision deed. So again, it was the resolution was memorialized on December 3rd, which would then give you 190 days. I have it at June 11th, 2026. We had received all the outside agency approvals since that time, and we received a number of compliance review memos from Mr. Cole. One dated April 17th asked, that we make sure that our block and lots were correct. I emailed Brett Trout. He said, actually, we want to make some changes. I think we had it at lot 10 and 10.01, and he wanted it to be changed. So I asked Mr. Stiers to redo the plans and the legal descriptions. I then sent draft deeds to Mr. Gibbons via email on April 17th, 2026, which is obviously well before the deadline. At that time, Mr. Stiers continued to review some of the post-approval compliance conditions as required by the February 20th Cole memo and the April 16th Cole memo, which basically had just some minor comments related to water, sewer, some stormwater management, some tying of the leaders, et cetera, and just some minor details and legal descriptions. So ultimately, that was, they went back and forth, got everything buttoned up, and then Mr. Gibbons approved the filing of the minor subdivision deeds on July 1st, which is past by about 2 weeks. So we're here tonight. The MLUL under NJSA 4055D 47F permits the board to extend times up to an additional 190 days. I will say that, maybe back in the day, 190 days was enough time to get, engineering and things done. We're seeing a number of extension requests for subdivisions because typically, some towns require all of the engineering compliance to be completed during that time. Some towns allow you to file right away and then deal with the site plan issue separately. So in any event, we've submitted a letter detailing the procedural history, and we've also, out of due caution, actually reapplied for the subdivision. So the board has an option to either, grant the extension. We're asking for, it has to go back to the date that it was due, which is a term called nunc-pro-tunc, which means you got to go back to, I think it's June.
Nunc-pro-tunc.
Yeah, right, correct. So we're asking for a 90-day extension, which gives us till, gives us a little time to get these filed. We do have a closing scheduled for Monday, so I spoke with the powers that be, and we have the deeds for signature, should the board approve it, so we can file the subdivision, and then they can deed out the existing the residential property that was rehabilitated. It's done. It's actually going to be home to Taylor and Matthew Forno and their 8-year-old. So it's gone through all the inspections and fire and CO and everything. So we would just ask that the board allow us the relief to extend the perfection of the minor subdivision so we can get that filed and then, of course, begin construction on the second lot.
When I first heard about this, I asked Mike, is any way we can just extend it? And no, this is our government at work. So it
Yeah,
takes,
I would agree that it should take board action because it's a hard deadline. So sometimes people file things by plat, and when you file something by plat, it's typically a bigger project like a 5-lot subdivision or, a major subdivision. And in that instance, the clock doesn't start running until the board chairman signs the plat. So that's typically, how it's being done now for larger projects. But this is only a minor subdivision, so we can file it by deed, which saves all that engineering, but it does have that more tight time frame to get it perfected.
bureaucracy at work.
So, Mike, you are good with all the conditions from the prior approval?
Yep.
Just extending them?
Yep, we have no issues. As I said, I think the house that's been rehabilitated, we're closing on Monday, hopefully.
Yeah.
The title company is going to file this, and then the next day file the deed that gives it to the purchasers, and then he's going to start on the new construction.
Yeah.
Some nice work.
So the property corners are set, so.
They are.
They're all right. I already
Yeah, they
inspected that, so it's basically a do-over of everything the board saw with the same conditions.
Nothing new.
So that's why it's here in front of you first on the list.
Anybody from the audience have any questions? Come on up, state your name and address for the record, please.
Hi, greetings, everyone. My name is Katrina Hampton. I live at 85 3rd Street, right next to the lot. I just want to say the house that was rehabilitated is absolutely gorgeous, so thank you. So I just have two questions. And forgive me if it doesn't belong here for my ignorance, but I'm learning. Number one, I'd like to know how far will the structure be from my driveway? And secondly, Mr. Patel thankfully took down these horrible poison ivy-filled bushes, which I'm very grateful for. And there was a fence that separated our two properties, and part of that fence also is the opening and closings to my driveway. I'm wondering if that fence at least will be replaced.
Of course it will. Right?
Saj, you gonna
What- there
address
was-
that?
Yeah, give me a second. You're at,
Okay.
you're at 85?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
85.
We're gonna replace that fence, in between the two property lines.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
great.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to mention
There was
that,
another
And we
question.
can't hear that.
Oh, the
I'm sorry.
distance?
Yes.
Right. What do you want?
I don't have a scale.
no, I just want,
I could tell you.
You can tell me?
I just want to mention that the account given by council, I'm a little concerned because it implies that, you know, the deadline was missed because I had something and I didn't provide it. That is not correct.
I did not mean to insinuate that. No,
Well,
you
okay.
got draft copy of the deeds, and then we had to change them, and then you got them again after the deadline. So it wasn't your fault that, you know, you got them at the end, you got them on
Thank you.
June 30th.
All right, just want to make sure that's clear.
Mrs. Hampton, all of those questions that you have, that was
Okay.
addressed last October.
Okay.
In December when we had the hearing. And we can't speak on that right now.
Okay.
Just on the, what's before us now on the subdivision.
Yep, and we can just tell you that the structure is 10 feet and 10.15 feet from the property line.
Yes, sir.
So whatever the distance is after your driveway to your structure, I'm not sure.
Perfect.
It's not on the site plan.
Great, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else have any questions on the subdivision? Anybody from the board have any questions?
Yeah, I don't have a question, just, is that pile of debris on that vacant lot gonna go away soon?
Yeah, we're gonna have it out by Friday.
Perfect.
I was gonna ask that myself.
I think we should just go ahead and approve this thing. I'm willing to make a motion.
Sounds good to me. First, let's close the public portion of the application. Someone move.
I'll move it.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. Rich,
I move that we approve the extension.
moving second.
With the conditions stated from the original approval?
Yes.
Regarding the setbacks, the driveway, all that?
Yeah, he knows.
Yeah, well, I'm just making,
Yeah.
Subject to a continuance of the conditions of the previous approval.
right.
Exactly what I was thinking.
Moving second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Chairman Artadare,
Aye.
Ed Allett,
Yes.
Roberta Carpenitz.
Yes.
Morgan McLaughlin.
Yes.
Rich O'Neill.
Yes.
Brian Vidomsky.
Yes.
John Flores.
Yes.
Eric Alvarez.
Yes.
Stuart Daniels.
Yes.
Carry. Okay.
They were sufficient as the legal form and content. You can certainly sign them.
Yeah. That was a nice one. It's improving that area too on that street.
Right.
And he got
Memorialized today.
Be up today. I was watching the news and newscasters said. Okay,
Ask Cole.
that today was Tuesday, August 19th.
Yes.
Wait a minute.
Yes.
We can,
Mike, we're gonna get some copies when you record them. No, he's got to write it. You have the deed signed, okay? Just give me a copy of the recorded deeds. Get the, stamp. You get it recorded.
Yep.
Okay? Yes. We'll talk about that, okay?
Okay, thank you. Okay, next. Take your time. man.
Up next, we have application number 2025-021Z, applicant Michael A. Martinenko, 190 East Cliff Street, Block 45, Lot 30.
Sorry. Hello, good evening. My name is Michael Martinenko, and I'm the owner and
I'm sorry.
applicant.
Before we
this-
do anything, sir,
Sorry.
would you please stand, raise your
Yes,
right hand?
sorry.
You solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Please state your name and spell your last name for the record.
My name is Michael Martinenko, and the last name is spelled Martynenko.
Okay. I'd also like to add that I reviewed your notice, and it is legally sufficient as the form and content, and the board can exercise jurisdiction in connection with this application. Go right ahead.
Okay. I'm not sure exactly where to start, but again, my name is Michael Martinenko, and I'm the owner and applicant of 190 East Cliff Street. It's my primary and only residence. So I'm before the board today to ask for a variance to partially enclose the front porch in order to build a small study, an additional bathroom, and a small foyer. And I have, we submitted, I guess, in November of ~25. There was a completeness review that was done, and we had to address certain items. So we went back to the architect, and in February of '26, he had completed those necessary items, and then I had to gather some other items. Sorry, I'm just looking to where to.
Take your time, take your time. Excuse me.
So I know it's in the memo, there was mention of the repairing, replacing the driveway apron and portions of the sidewalk that are in disrepair, and we will certainly do that. That will be addressed. There was a pipe that was coming out of a retain.
Sorry.
That was coming out of a retaining wall. That will be addressed and removed. And there should be no impact for the existing stormwater runoff from the subject property. It shouldn't adversely affect any surrounding properties.
It shouldn't or wouldn't,
Will not.
will not.
Right.
The siding and the windows and the colors will all be addressed after the construction to be uniform and consistent throughout.
Michael, will the
Sorry.
windows match the existing windows?
Right.
So you're gonna
Yes.
Match the windows and the siding for the enclosure of the porch will
Yes.
match the existing siding?
Yes, yes. The granting the variance will not cause any detriment to the public good, and will not substantially impair the intent and purpose of the zone plan and zoning ordinance.
It's exacerbating the side yard setback in the FAR, but everything is there. So he's enclosing, he's not extending the porch, he's enclosing the porch. I can see Mr. O'Neill's looking at me, the porch is open, so by enclosing it, right. So enclosing it, it's within the side yard setback, so it's
Yeah.
exacerbating that. He's putting a bathroom in
Yes,
and a study area.
yes.
And the foyer, it's basically.
And then a portion of the front porch will remain open.
Yeah.
So you go up the stairs and then into the front
So
door.
it's giving you a much-needed powder room on the first floor?
Yes, we only have one bathroom right now, so we would like to utilize the space for an addition.
I have 5 sisters, I understand what you're talking about.
And all the work will be completed by a licensed New Jersey professional. I'm not taking this on my own.
And I think some of the sidewalk damage was caused by New Jersey American. They put a water meter pit in, and the sidewalk is settled. It's just the way it is. I'm just pointing out that.
Sorry, yes,
some of
that
the-
will be remedied. Also not by myself, also by a,
You'll level
Someone.
that, or,
yes,
okay.
yes.
That's a Somerville problem.
Yeah, we have some tripping hazards which the applicant has agreed to address. The driveway apron is in disrepair, and the roof leader or something to get the roof leader so it doesn't, right now, there's a pipe cascading
Yes,
onto the
yes.
sidewalk. The
Yes.
suggestion is to
That-
put the, if he's gonna repair the sidewalk, put the
put another-
drain under the sidewalk for a curb face discharge, so that we don't have a potential icing problem in the winter.
Yes.
How many people live there?
We have, sorry, myself, my wife, and our 3 kids. So 5 right now.
Better hurry up and build it.
I would like to.
Is that it?
I'm not sure if there's anything else that
No.
I should potentially address, or if there's any
Yeah.
questions
Or
that
the
are.
other board's gonna have questions right
Okay,
now.
yes.
Anybody from the board have any questions of the testimony just given?
Not of the testimony, but Mike's comment about exacerbating the situation, I mean, that's a technical term, but that's not gonna impact that street at all.
No, Rich, I'm just
I
saying
get
why
it.
he's here, because the board usually wants to know why he's here. He's enclosing the porch because he needs more space. He's not encroaching in the front
Yeah.
yard setback.
It's neutral.
I think the testimony is that the existing stormwater runoff isn't adversely impacting the neighbors of the street. He's not changing the stormwater runoff.
Yeah.
I'm just suggesting that the pipe, so that potentially could discharge, cascade on the sidewalk, be placed.
Yeah, we don't want that, so we'll remedy
The
it.
property maintenance on the apron and the sidewalk.
But there's, yeah, I agree with all that, but there's already roof over it, we're not increasing any volumes or anything.
Yeah, but I think the roof drains literally drain onto the sidewalk.
Yeah, no, I get it, but we're not making, we're not making more water.
You're not, there's no additional impervious coverage, Rich.
Right, that's-
What you're saying, absolutely.
Okay.
The roof isn't changing, so it's gonna be the siding. He has 3 windows, 2 facing the front, 1 facing the
Yeah,
west. So the 3
yes.
windows are gonna match the existing windows, the siding's gonna match. There's a foyer. Other than that, it's gonna be cleaning up the sidewalk, apron, and the aforementioned pipe.
Yes.
Anybody else on the board have any questions? Anybody from the audience have any questions on the testimony just given? Okay, anybody from the board have any comments?
Yeah, I think we should approve it.
We got any comments from the audience? Okay, we have a motion by Mr. O'Neill, second by Mr. McLaughlin. Any
Right,
comments?
no. One condition of approval would be, it'd be our standard conditions of approval. Also compliance with the terms and conditions and comments set forth in Mr. Cole's report.
Okay.
Yes.
Is that okay with you, Michael?
I'm good.
Okay.
Roll call, please.
Chairman Artadere?
Yes.
Ed Allett?
Yes.
Roberta Carbonitz?
Yes.
Morgan McLaughlin?
Yes.
Rich O'Neill?
Yes,
Brian Vidimski?
Yes.
John Flores?
Yes.
Eric Alvarez?
Yes.
Stuart Daniels?
Yes.
Carried.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Next.
Up next, we have application 2025-014Z. Applicant Mark Sadrak, subject property 71 North Dowdy Avenue, block 132, lot 6.
Good evening.
Okay.
Good evening. You
Yes.
swear us in again?
Do you both plan on testifying? Okay,
Yes.
good. I'll do your client first. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please state your name and spell your last name for the record.
My name is Mark Sadrak, spelled S-A-D-R-A-K.
Thank you very much, sir. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Yes, please state your name, spell your last name for the record.
Joseph Permiano, P-R-I-M-I-A-N-O, architect for the applicant.
Very good. Would you please enter your appearances, please?
So we were here a few months ago.
Joe, not to
add-
stop you, but can we put it on the screen? Could you have a PDF on the drawings? Can we?
Everything was emailed. I didn't bring a PDF with me.
That's fine. Ryan, okay. Thanks, sorry, Jar. No, I got it.
You could,
No, it's fine.
Okay, all
It's
right.
fine.
so we were here a few months ago, earlier this year. This application is to rebuild a detached garage that's currently in the backyard. The applicant is looking for some more space. He needs some more storage space. He's looking to add a fitness room in there, and he's also adding some space upstairs. Currently, the structure is extremely close to the rear yard and the side yard. And in the rear yard, there's actually a portion that goes into and onto the neighbor's property. This garage has been there for, I couldn't even tell you how many decades, but it's been a long time. I'm sure there's been many transfers of properties, and this garage has been there the entire time. Nothing's been added or removed. As part of this application, last time, there was neighbors that were directly behind the applicant, that they had some concerns about maintenance on the existing structure and also the proximity to their backyard and their garden. So the applicant, we actually prepared some changes, and the applicant went and met with the neighbors, and I guess they went over some different ideas and showed, the client showed them the updates. I believe that everything seemed okay, except there was, I think, a concern still about the height. I'm sure they're going to possibly ask questions or comments tonight. So I would like to kind of go through a little in detail of what we did to try to make the application, try to be a good neighbor and try to listen to some of those comments and try to appease that, right? So originally, so what I did was on the first sheet is you can see a dashed line which represents the existing building, and then we showed a dark solid line with a hatched grid around it showing the location of the proposed garage. So what we did was, in order to allow for, there was a comment about maintenance of this building, right? If it's on the property line, there's other, again, for context, there's several other buildings that are around this, right? We show that on our property survey. So there's a building, there's a garage to the south, there's two garages to the west, and then there's a shed to the north. So there's a whole bunch of structures in this area. It's not just floating out by itself, right? So the gaps between these buildings are very tight. So what we did was we pulled the building off the property lines 5 feet from the west and 5 feet from the north. So now that allows the applicant to get in there with a lawnmower, take care of any weeds, take care of any painting, siding, clean the gutters, whatever it may be. That gives him the access to get on both sides of the building. Again, there are fences that are on the property lines in some of these locations. Those fences are not being changed. There's a fence on the north side. All of that's staying. What's being changed is the actual, the garage itself. So by moving it the 5 feet in both directions, we also eliminate the issue of having that portion that's actually on the other property. So this kind of cleans up some potential legal issues or whatever. It's just, again, it's now the building that the applicant is proposing is completely on his property. Another thing that we did, again, to try to, with concerns of what the neighbors had said, this is a gable roof is what we were proposing. If you go to the third page, which is V1C, what we did was we cut the corners of those gables. So we took off that hard edge corner that could potentially be, that's your highest point, right? That's the closest, that would be closest to the property line. Again, just to soften that edge, that gable was changed to a hip in that corner. Sometimes they're called Boston hips. This is, you could call it a hipped gable, but again, we brought that down to kind of soften those two edges. We did it on the south side as well as the north side because it doesn't make sense to just do it on one side because then the building wouldn't be, wouldn't look nice, it wouldn't look symmetrical. So we did it on the south side just, again, for that symmetry. There was comments about the gravel area and different pop-ups. We tried to clearly label that a little better. Again, that's on the first page. So there's a large gravel area that is to the south of this building. Again, that's all being removed. That nothing is changing from the last application. We're just delineating it a little better. That is the reason why the coverages went down, because the ordinance requires any gravelled areas to be counted in those numbers. So when you look at our improvement coverages, it went down from 57.39 down to 54.89. Again, now that still needs a variance. It's a pre-existing condition, but we made it better by changing that area, removing that gravel, and changing it to grass. I also provided the board with some aerial images and some sun studies that we prepared. Again, because there was concerns about this roof potentially blocking a neighbor's garden, right? So, and again, if we go through those images that I prepared, the first few images are to give you some aerial shots of the context of what's around this structure and also what's in the backyard of all the neighbors' houses. We circled a lot of the large trees that are there. Now you have deciduous trees and you also have a lot of pine trees that do not lose their leaves the entire year. The needles and everything stay on those trees. So what we did was we tried to show, if you look at the third page, we tried to show that the trees that are the existing trees that are not on the applicant's property, none of these trees are on the applicant's property. Those trees are 80 to 90 feet tall, whereas this building is only going to be 14.75 feet. So the trees are 4 to 5 times the height of this structure, and those trees block a significant amount of more sun towards the garden than this building does now, or even the proposed building. To go even further, I took photos looking up the driveway between the applicant's house and the neighbor to the north, and you could see the scale of these trees. Now, again, this was in the cold climate, and there's several large pine trees that are to the north of the applicant's property. When the sun is coming up in the north, in the east, that tree is blocking the entire backyard of the neighbors that had the concerns. So again, I'm trying to show that the structure we are proposing is not going to have any impact on those neighbors. There's a lot of existing trees already there. I then was able to get some photos from some different angles in some neighboring properties to get the shadow lines. So I was able to show that the only shadows that are actually occurring on the neighbor's property are the shadows from their own shed. So the neighbors have a shed that we depict on our site drawing, and that shed actually is the only structure that's casting the shadow. So there's no shadows being casted by the applicant's structure. And again, with us pulling it 5 feet off in both directions, we're actually moving it even further away from the applicant's property. We then went on, again, those are all photos. You could see that there's solid stockade fences around the property. There's many trees around the property. And then again, to try to illustrate that in an aerial image, I then did sun studies. So what we did was we did sun studies at 4 different times of the year. It was January 15th, March 15th, June 15th, and September 15th. And the lines that are on the sun studies, they represent the arc of what the sun path is going to take at those different times of the year. And you could see that where the sun comes up in the east and goes down towards the south end, a lot of the existing trees are actually what's blocking any sun from hitting the garden. It's not this actual, it's not the building. So you could see those studies. Again, there's 4, those are the last 4 pages. We tried to do everything we can to try to, again, the neighbor, the applicant is actually spending, you know, a significant, he spent quite a bit more money to prepare all of these items that we did. He has a big expense on redesigning the structure, and now he also has a construction expense because instead of being able to reuse any partial foundations or walls, the applicant now, to try to be a good neighbor, has pulled the proposal of the garage. He's proposed to pull it 5 feet forward and 5 feet down. So now there's nothing of that existing garage that we can keep. So now the applicant is gonna have more construction costs, but again, to try to be a good neighbor here. We could have took the stance that he's not gonna move it. We could have took the stance that he doesn't want to change the roof lines. He could take the stance that he withdraws the application and just leaves the existing structure there. So again, we listened to those comments from the last meeting. Hopefully, this addressed a lot of those comments. I don't know if you want me to go into any of the technical details that were in Michael Cole's report about some of the plumbing and inverts and slopes and stuff like that. I could go into that, but I wanted to at least address the changes that we made from the last meeting to this meeting.
Do you consider this an amendment to the previous approval? Or is this a separate application? Because I'm looking through your materials, I'm not completely certain.
Mr. Gibbons, there wasn't any approval.
Yeah, there was no approval. There was comments from neighbors at the last meeting, and
All right, okay, this has been, okay,
Yeah,
so this is the same. Okay, I just want to make sure. You didn't indicate that at the front, so I'm,
yeah, we renoticed,
yeah,
just
your
to be
notice
safe
was
and everything.
sufficient.
Yes,
I have no
yes.
issue as to
But
that.
this is carried from whenever I think it was, April?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, thank
Yes.
you.
Yes.
So it was carried and the application was revised from.
It was revised based on those
from-
comments.
From adapting the current structure to demolishing the current structure.
Correct.
Moving it back to address what you're saying, Joe, is
That-
some of the concerns
Yes.
raised at the last hearing. Okay.
Yes,
Okay, no, thank you. Thank you for clarifying that on the record.
sure.
And the needs still haven't changed for my family, right? We have a newly 1-year-old. His birthday was August 8th, 8 at 8 a.m., which is really cool. So our needs are ever growing. Toys are everywhere, clothes are everywhere, Christmas trees, whatever it may be for storage. We're living in it currently at the moment. We're looking, and this is why we're trying to adapt that space to allow us to have more space for our growing family.
And he does not have a usable basement. I think we testified last time that the basement was very short. It's only several feet, so there's no usable storage, or, I can't finish it for any kind of rooms or anything. So the purpose of this is just to get him a little extra space.
These are the good years, when they become teenagers.
Then they're gonna wanna spend all their time out there and none with me.
Yeah, no, you want to spend your time.
I also, there was, again, because this is an FAR variance, so we have to show that, you know, the site can handle these
Correct.
changes. So to be more clear, because usually with an application like this, the only thing that's really affected by the site would be parking, right? Is there enough parking on site to handle the increase in the building square footage? Now, we're not adding any bedrooms as part of this project, and I believe the requirement, I think I put the calcs on there somewhere, but it only needed, I think, maybe 3 parking spaces, but we actually have 5, and could even do more. I showed those 5 parking spaces clearly on the driveway, and then there would be 2 additional parking spaces in the garage. So this property could handle 7+ cars without any issue, without changing any impervious coverage, actually with the reduction of the impervious coverage because we're getting rid of the gravel. There was also some comments about, did we include the patios? There are some different patios in those numbers. Yes, everything was included. Everything that is on the ground was counted.
So what is your impervious coverage now?
So existing is 57.39, and we're reducing it 3%. It's going down to 54.89. It's still exceeding the ordinance, which is 40%, but we're reducing it.
Okay. Anybody from the board have any questions?
Joe, just,
Okay.
the second floor over this, the tax accessory is gonna be finished and has 3 skylights, and it's gonna be used for storage, and it's air conditioned, it's conditioned space.
It is conditioned, yes.
So the second floor has the 3 skylights, some 7 foot, and it's the storage space. You have the only thing not conditioned is the 2-car garage portion, correct? Everything else is conditioned. You show a heat pump on the side there?
Correct, yes. And the second floor is in the attic. It's the sloped. It's the
Right.
sloped ceilings. So you could stand up in the middle. The middle is the 8 foot, and we show the dashed lines there.
Right.
But then it goes down to 0.
Right, I'm just saying it's a finished space.
It is finished,
Everything
yes,
is finished, except for me, the garage. Is the garage finished
Well,
space?
the garage will be sheetrocked and painted
Okay,
and
so
everything.
the
Yeah.
the
We're
garage
gonna-
will be finished
yeah,
too, but it's
yeah.
just not gonna be
Not
heated and air
conditioned,
conditioned?
no.
Okay, so the heating and air conditioning is the second floor
And the exercise space.
exercise space?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I had a question.
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes.
The evergreen trees, who do they belong to?
They're past the fence, so I think it's,
Is it on your property?
no,
No.
none of the trees there's none of the trees that are listed on the
So-
sun study are mine.
If you look at do you have okay, so on the first photo, that aerial image, I circled the 2 groups of trees. So what happens is on this block, you have, towards the north end of the block, those 2 houses actually have really deep properties that come down and butt up to the neighbors that are on North Dowdy. So the left group of trees is actually the house is, I believe that's Cliff, right? That's West
Yes.
Cliff. So the houses that are actually on West Cliff Street, that's where those grouping of trees are. And then the next house that's on the corner, that's the other grouping of trees.
Okay.
So none of the trees are on the applicant's.
That's correct. None of those are on mine.
Okay, and then, what was the resolution for maintaining the rear? Because you would have to go on the neighbor's property to maintain it,
Well,
right?
so that was one of the previous concerns, was currently the way these buildings are, this particular building, the way it is, it's literally on the property line. So there's really no maintenance happening, because how do you get there? The neighbors, there's a bunch of fences that are in certain areas of the building, and then he has maybe 1 or 2 feet on one side, then there's a shed that's there, then there's another garage. So maintenance of this area is not really happening. There's some of the other structures, there is, I have
They butt
photos
up
of that
against
too.
the lines
They
of
butt
the-
up against it. The back of their structures is not really in the ideal condition either, but it's a tough situation because their structures are only several feet from that fence, right? So between the actual structures is
almost non-existent line.
It's 4 feet maybe. So you have a building, and then the fence, and then the applicant's building. So what we're doing is, by adding that 5 feet, that's actually that's more room than anything that exists between any of the structures and property lines right now. So what that will allow the applicant to do is, he now has that 5 feet to go around the back and around the side. So if he has to, if a piece of siding came loose, if there's leaves in the gutter, he could put up a ladder, he could fix that, he could clean it, and he does not have to go on the neighbor's properties at all.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
Anybody else on the board have any questions?
What's the height difference between the existing structure and the proposed?
So based on the way your ordinance is written, and we did all the heights and everything, the existing structure is 11 feet, the proposed is 14.75, and your ordinance allows 16.
It's the midpoint of the roof, Morgan. It's not the peak, it's the midpoint is where the ordinance talks about that.
Anybody else from the audience? I mean, from the board? Anyone from the audience?
Yeah, I have a question. In terms of the position of this new building, you're seeking variances for its distance from both the rear lot line and the side lot line?
Yes, that is correct.
And what's the reasoning for positioning the building there versus following the code?
Well, so the ordinance requires 12 feet of separation from the property line. So if we had to pull the structure in 12 feet, the applicant is going to lose a significant amount of his yard, and the whole point of this is also for his kids to have room to be able to play. That's why we're losing some of the gravel area and putting it to grass. If we move the building forward to the 12 foot, now we have 12 feet behind the building that is pretty much unusable at that point. So we thought, again, the 5 feet seemed like a good compromise. Again, right now, it's actually over the property line. So, not only is this getting the building on the property line, but it's also giving that buffer on both sides to be able to maintain it. And it also just pulls the building off the property line. It will be further away from the property line than the existing buildings that are behind it, because they're less than 5 feet from the property line.
And the same for the side distance also, similar argument?
Correct.
8 feet?
Correct, yes, that was slid over the 5 feet.
Joe, stormwater management, I understand you're taking the gravel out, so you're not increasing, you're actually decreasing the improvement coverage.
Yes.
And you have the pop-ups. I had a comment in the report that I get that you're saying basically that we're not increasing stormwater runoff because the impervious coverage is actually decreasing.
It is, so,
Right.
and we actually added another pop-up just to be
Right.
safe. So there is one existing pop-up that's already there, that works for that garage in that area now.
Yeah.
With the higher coverage. So we're actually lowering the coverage and adding a second pop-up.
Right.
Again, we're just trying to make this situation as best as it can be.
The only concern I had was, are you moving the drainage? I was on the comment that you can't tell from the spots. Their pop-ups are to the southwest of the proposed structure. So a lot of the runoff's going that way.
Correct.
It's proposed. I
Yes.
just had a comment in reports. Is that the same volume going that way from the existing condition? There's just not spot grades, Joe.
Yeah.
I understand,
Yeah.
I understand what
Yes.
you're trying to accomplish.
Yep.
And I'm just saying, I need some clarification, because I understand the argument, or saying you're not increasing the impervious runoff, therefore, we're not gonna have any more runoff than's existing.
Yes.
So you're not gonna be adversely impacting your neighbors. And I'm just raising, or I think that's the testimony from the last meeting, that the
Yes.
existing runoff isn't adversely impacting. I'm just want to clarify that, let's see if you can get some spot grades, should the board approve this.
Yeah.
That the drainage, the amount of runoff going to the southwest is remaining the same.
Yes.
that makes sense to you, Joe. Are you
Yes,
looking at me
and
like-
it will be decreased because the grass
I
will
get it,
now
yeah.
absorb more of that
What I'm
rainwater.
basically
Yeah.
saying, if you have 5 drains, 5 different locations, and
Yes.
you're changing it all to 1 drain in 1 location, I'm just trying to avoid,
No, we.
I'm just trying to keep the
correct.
current
Yes.
drainage pattern.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
Anybody else on the board have any questions? Anyone from the audience have any questions on the testimony just given? State your name and address for the record, please.
Hi, my name is Chris Cutler, Cutler, 64 Mountain Avenue. I'm the neighbor that's often referred to in this testimony. My question is, how is it consistent to say that the building height will be 14 and a half feet when the total height will be 21 feet, which is higher than most houses in the area? And secondly, how can it be that I met with the applicant when I never met with the applicant, when I provided written comments which were ignored? And how can it be that my lighting situation is not made worse by the new proposed building when at the peak height of the existing garage, their structure will be an additional 3 feet higher? Those are my questions. Oh, by the way, and that shed is gone. I tore down that shed because they complained about it. I'd like for them to actually respond to my concerns. Thank you.
I'd like to address, I've never once brought up that shed for a complaint.
That's between you two.
Yeah.
Okay,
Like you
well,
addressed
so I could address those comments. So again, we follow the building ordinance, right? The building ordinance for detached structures measures to the mean roof. The existing structure's at 11. We're proposing 14.75. Your ordinance allows us to go higher, right? Allows us to go 16 feet. Based on the average, if I lower the soffit line, I can increase the roof height, right? So I can get another 1.5 feet in average, which would be 3 feet in total height, and actually still comply with your ordinance. We didn't want to do that. We didn't want to push the envelope. We're trying to be the good neighbor. So we did not go to the maximum ordinance that the ordinance allows. We softened those gable ends, again, to try to reduce that edge of that point. Most houses, there was a comment about 21 feet. That's not correct. Most building heights are allowed to be 35 feet.
35.
And they are again, with the averaging, you have very tall structures. So any 2-story home is certainly more than 21 feet. So again, that's not a good comparison, but again, I think it's important to show that we did not want to max out the ordinance and that we were respectful of the neighbors, and we tried to compromise on that. So.
Anyone else from the audience have any questions?
Hi, I'm Margaret Phillips, Phillips, and I live at 64 Mountain Avenue, the house behind. I have a degree in math, so I'm really good with averages. And the reason that this average is working out so well for them is they go from a low of 8 feet to a high of about 22 feet, so that's how they're getting to the 14 feet. It's still a massive structure. And when we talked to them last time, we asked them if they could slope the ends to increase the light into our backyard so it wouldn't be this giant wall we were looking at. So if you look at the picture, they did a little dip on each of the corners on the end. And we replied to them that that wasn't enough and asked them to come back to us, and they never did. So my question is, why did you not respond to our email of April 15th? And why are you telling them that you negotiated with us when you did not?
May I address the?
Please.
So I had sent an email asking what were the concerns. The concerns were the distance from the property line and the height of the structure. When they had sent me their response, I had forwarded their response to my architect to make up the new plans. We had forwarded the plans to Mr. Cutler and yourself, and they had told me the only remaining concern was if you can please lower the height even more. By lowering the height even more, that would eliminate my storage ability up on the second floor. It would be almost unusable. I'd be in the same position I'm in currently with just a bigger structure. So at that point, I had said, okay, you know, I didn't respond. I had went back to my architect and I had asked him to, you know, with the proposed plans, that would be, you know, we've been trying to be better neighbors, but I mean, there's a line where I'd like to get a structure that works for my family and at the same time be neighborly. But I can't concede to every ask, otherwise I'd lose what the whole purpose of the plan was. So I tried my best. I did my best to work. Some requests are not met very well by my neighbors. I tried. There's only so much we can do that takes away from the whole purpose of the project.
We're going to ask then that they move the house, the new structure further from our property to be in compliance with the town ordinance.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I would also like to add on that comment, just so you guys know, we are not doing anything excessive as far as the heights, right? If you look at our heights, the garage only has a ceiling height of 8 feet. That means we can only get a 7-foot door in there. Most houses have 8 or 9 foot tall doors now to accommodate larger vehicles. The applicant's not gonna be able to do that. He is still staying with an old school 7-foot door in order to keep that ceiling low. The ceiling upstairs is also only 8 foot tall and it's only in the center. So
8 feet
nothing
tall.
is excessive here. We're not doing 10 or 12 foot ceilings. We tried to keep this as compact as possible, but yet it still has to function. If we make the ceilings 6 foot tall, then you can't even stand up in there. So I don't think that we're being excessive. We're just being, we're doing just average ceiling heights here. There's nothing excessive, and as like the applicant said, if we lower it, now it becomes unusable and it defeats the whole purpose of trying to make this structure nice. If you look at the photos that we submitted, the structure's old, it's dilapidated. You know, this is gonna be a nice looking structure. It'll be able to be maintained properly. We thought it was a good solution.
Mike, how tall is the structure?
Oh, it's probably over 20 feet because it's the midpoint. So I agree with Joe's calculation that the midpoint is 14 feet, but that puts the peak, it's probably what the neighbors say, over 20 feet to the peak, because it's not the peak, it's the midpoint for doing the height.
Correct, and
Based on the-
we show those dimensions. We have the dimension, so it's 13.9, and that's your roof height, right? So just call it 14. I'll even increase it a little bit. 14 feet, right? So your halfway is 7 feet. So 7 foot plus 14.9. So your overall peak is 21.9. If you minus technically 21.6. 21.6 is the peak, and the way. So what's actually happening is we turned. If you look at the way the structure faces now, if you look at our aerials, the gable runs, the ridge runs north to south. So the high point of the roof actually faces the neighbor. We actually turned the roof and our ridge runs east to west. So they're not looking at the triangle of the structure. They're actually looking at the roof that goes away from them. So we've made this building so much better than the current condition. I don't, again, as the applicant said, I don't know what else to do at this point.
Joe, is there any way of meeting the demands, the scope of what the charge is and being within 600 square feet? So regarding the size, the height, I think we beat the death for the height. The question is the size of the structure. The ordinance says no more than 600 square feet, and the footprint exceeds that, which goes back to the question of massing. Could this be done, Joe, if the footprint was smaller? Just throwing it out, because I don't know if we hear testimony regarding whether the size could comply.
Again, the existing building is 600 square feet. I think the ordinance allows 614. We're at 864. We're only 240 square feet over. That's actually the little room that he's adding for his fitness room. So, again, I don't think anything's excessive here. We've given testimony that the applicant has no storage in the house because there's no basement. So the only storage that he can have is in this structure. And half of the storage is slope ceilings. So it's not even a lot of structure. You know,
Currently-
it's not a lot of storage.
Currently, the fitness equipment's in a bedroom. Trying to take, yeah, I'm just saying that's kind
So
of the
that
goal.
you're
was to
basically, you're saying
reclaim
that
a bedroom.
with the two-car garage, with the scope, gymnasium and so forth, you just can't make it work for 600 square feet.
No.
That's what it basically is.
I
That's-
prefer to.
Right.
to say.
Okay.
Correct. I mean, the fitness room is 13 by 11. It's not, there's bedrooms that are normally bigger than that, and then people's houses, this is just a little room, so.
Thank you.
Joe, I'm just,
No problem.
we're talking about the pitch.
Yeah,
and
no,
Light and air. Another thing that we haven't
Is size.
really thoroughly vetted is
Sure.
the size, which obviously affects light and air, the size of the structure.
Correct.
Understood.
And the height.
understood.
So I just wanted to hear the testimony regarding the program and the size of the structure. Sure.
No, understood. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Rocky Damio, I live at 60 Mountain Avenue. I'm kind of catty corner to where the applicants plan on building this garage. Where he's putting it and where my garage and my neighbor's garage sits, we're going to be looking at twice what we're looking at now. You're going to be looking at a wall. And I really believe the quality of the view and everything will be really hampered by this building. It's a really nice area. You can see everything's wide open spaces. My neighbor directly behind me built a garage, very nice with windows, 10 feet tall, and they use it for all their storage. I believe that this does not fall within the bounds, and I don't think it should pass.
That's a
The way
comment.
it sits.
What's the question?
The question is, how can we let this go through? That's the question.
So let me ask you something. If he builds this garage, is it better than the condition now?
I can't even see what they have there now.
So then what exactly are you looking at in his backyard?
Did you hear that?
When they build this, I'm gonna look at 10 feet of more building.
What are you looking at now?
I can see out past the
my
whole,
house.
his whole yard to his house, the neighbors' houses and everything. It's not right up against my property line.
So you're looking in his house?
Yeah, that's my house is right behind us.
You get a visual of space. When it's sitting right on your property line, you don't have a visual of
It's
space.
sitting on the property now, he's moving it 5 feet off.
If you was put in your backyard, you'd have a problem with it.
I have a house sitting in my backyard. I live in Somerville. You see everybody's house in your backyard.
Yeah, well, I won't be looking at a wall, and that's what I'll be looking at.
This time is for questions.
Yep,
Just
okay.
mention, this time is for questions and not
That's all I have.
comments.
Are there any other questions of the testimony just given?
Questions.
Okay.
Chris Cutler again. Looking at the upstairs space, which has an 8-foot ceiling, and under the 8-foot ceiling is 7 foot wide, therefore, under the area where it's 6 feet high, it's going to be 11 feet wide. What is to protect the town from having that turn into an apartment instead of just a garage?
You'd have to come
And-
back to this board for approval for that.
Uh-huh.
And we were able to make it a condition of approval as well, right?
Well, it's in the ordinance. Can't have two principal structures.
Yeah, it's already prohibited still.
And thank you for that. And with regard to the usable storage space, we have a house with sloped roofs, and we have to duck for storage, but we don't seem to think that that's a problem that prevents it from being used for storage. So can the argument that it's unusable for storage actually be valid? And why can't they just take the approach of the neighbors, the Dugans, and comply with the code and have a similar structure that's not as high?
Good.
Thank you.
Would you like to respond to that?
Sure. Again, the applicant has no storage in their existing home, so we're looking to just get a little bit of extra storage up on that upper level. Again, the roof slope goes to 0. The only part that you can stand in is that middle. We tried to keep this as low and minimal as possible, but yet still serve the purpose of actually being a storage space and being a garage.
He also compared to another structure, another house or home. I don't know how much storage they have in their home or how much they need, so I'm not able to speak to saying, well, if they can do it, why can't I do it? Everybody has their own needs and their own subjective abilities, and
No,
so.
you're correct. Every application stands on its own merits. It's,
So, I mean, I just wanted to address his comment
Yeah.
of if they did it, why can't you do it? I'm not able to speak to their needs, so I can't speak to why I
Yeah.
can't do it.
And again, I don't know why the neighbors keep thinking they're gonna be looking at a wall. We turned the structure. The wall they're looking at is the wall now. We turned the entire roof line so it slopes away. Both neighbors have garages in their backyard that have hip roofs. They can't physically see the wall of this structure. It's only 8 feet tall. You'd have to be on the roof of their garage to see that. So again, we tried to make this as friendly as possible. All of the properties, there's 5 other structures in the backyard, including this one. It's not like this is the only thing that's out there. So,
Anyone else from the audience have any questions of the testimony? Question.
So,
Questions?
Margaret Phillips again.
Questions of the,
Yeah, because I don't understand what he's saying. So I think that this is what we're gonna be looking at.
that's the roof. That is not a wall.
This is a wall.
Yes.
This is a roof.
Correct.
It's over 20 feet tall.
Yes, you're
And
gonna see.
how wide is it?
The length,
Yeah.
the length
This
is 30,
20-something feet tall.
it's
and
36 feet long.
This.
Yes, but
So
you,
36 by 22 is what's going to be 5 feet from my, I know you're saying the roof is pitched, but I can't see through that pitched roof.
yeah, but why do you need to see into his backyard?
I need to see my town. We have a house
I-
that, you know.
That's my backyard,
we
my
don't-
house.
We
It's-
don't want structures blocking our view of the rest of the neighborhood. So.
Okay, that's a comment.
I just want to make sure you all understand.
comment,
This is what we're going to be seeing, this part.
Thank you for your
It's
comment.
not like a pitched thing like our garages are. It's a big wall, basically. But yes, the
But-
roof is pitched, but
Shouldn't ask a question.
it's
We don't
20
have to
feet
answer.
high.
What was the question?
And your garage is in front of
I
that,
just
though, right?
wanted to ask him because
Oh,
the
that
way
was the
he was talking, I didn't understand, because this
Okay.
is the view I thought.
No, that's just the.
And
Understood.
he's saying that it's not as bad as I think.
Correct.
But I
believe
think
it
it
is.
is as bad as I think.
Okay.
I was a little
It's a subjective
confused.
opinion. yeah.
thank you. Anyone else?
So is your use of storage.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Is it a basis to consider for zoning exemptions for replacing an old structure, which we find adorable? My family's lived in the house 100 years, and that garage has probably been there the whole time. And if it just needs a little maintenance, that's okay. But is it really sensible to provide all these exemptions when they could perhaps just follow what the zoning requirements are? Thank
Well,
you.
that's why they're here. They want relief from those restrictions.
the law permits making requests for variances. It's right there, and it's right there in the MLUL. So this is, they're not doing anything that they're not permitted to do.
Anyone else have any questions of the testimony given by the applicant and his architect?
I do have a question for the architect. So if you look at the property that's to the south, and it's been referenced before, that's a garage, it looks like it's fairly low, and it does go to, it looks like almost the width of the property. They moved it off the back of the line, they pushed it towards Dowdy Avenue, and it seems as if they didn't have an issue with the height. Have you looked at that?
Yeah, they have a larger property lot, which gives them the ability to have the space that they need for their additional swimming pool or anything like that, which gives them what they're looking for in terms of some relief for their grandkids or their kids that need it. I think, again, I'm not sure, for me, my biggest issue is if I pushed it, the 12 and the 12, I'd lose almost all my grass where the kids would be able to play soccer, ball, whatever. And that's, again, I want to grow with my family there. I have a 1-year-old. Not being able to put him in the backyard or put, sprinklers or something for them to play in would be a shame for me to gain that space.
It seems that the argument here is the height of the building.
Yes, sir.
Right? So if you could take it towards the south and keep the height low, you may be able to get the approval.
Yes, sir. The height, the reason why, again, I didn't want to lower the height would be that I'd lose that storage space up in the attic. Moving it over more towards the south, I can go further towards the south if needed, a couple more feet. But I mean, I don't want to come east towards my home. I want to, like, if you need me to go towards that other fence, I can go a little bit closer to that if needed, but,
This picture where I'm looking, the white, that is, I guess, the gravel. right?
yes, sir, that's the glass.
So
Yes.
if
You want me to move it
extended that garage
towards that direction?
towards that direction, that would be your storage, but you didn't need a second floor.
You're saying increase the whole size of the structure and then lower the height?
But now we're triggering other variances. So now you have a runoff condition where we're trying to improve that. And again, the neighbor just to the south of the applicant on Dowdy, their garage is pulled off a little bit further because there's no structures that are back to back there. If you look at the applicant, and he has a much wider property. If you look at the applicant's property, his garage is up against the other 2 existing garages. So again, you're just, by pulling that off the property line, all you're doing is making a wider alley between 2 other existing garages. So again, I know that there was comments about they're gonna be looking at a wall, but they're looking at their own garages. We're on the backside of that.
So if I'm sitting in their backyard and they're looking out towards the back of their property,
Yes.
and they look above their garage, what are they gonna see?
They're gonna see probably 3 or 4 feet of roof.
Do they see that now?
Yes, they see even worse because the gable is turned, so they're actually looking at the wall of the gable. The roof runs the other way. So when they look, you're looking at the wall. By us turning the garage, we eliminated the condition of them looking at a wall. Again, we tried to make this as pleasing as possible. We actually made the condition better.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the audience, from the board? Okay.
My question is, how is it that you think that we will have a better view when the garage is 21 feet, but the existing garage is only 14 and a half feet at its peak? I know I measured it myself, and it's well concealed behind our garages.
Sure, sir, which one's your house?
64 Mountain.
64 Mountain. So your garage is sitting right
up on the fence.
So
My garage is 6 feet from the property line. It's the one on the
yeah, I
north.
see it.
Mhm.
So I'm thinking, I'm 5'7", so if I want to look in his backyard and I got to stand in front of your garage, I got to go about 14 feet in front of your garage to see over your garage, to see in his backyard. So where are you sitting? Where are you looking in his backyard?
Well, if I'm just standing in my driveway,
Okay?
okay, I look down my driveway, I see my garage, and then between the 2 garages, mine and Rocky's, I can see a little bit of the white garage, just a little bit because it's very low. And the peak of the existing white garage is actually behind my garage. So his peak of the garage is about the same height as the peak of
Basically,
my
you're telling me
garage.
When you pull your car into your garage, you're going to be blocked. But if you're sitting in your yard, you're going to be able to see into his backyard.
Well, there's 2 perspectives. If I have the garage between me and their existing garage, I basically can't see it.
Correct.
If I'm in the yard, I see the charming side of an old white structure,
Well,
which
he's-
is historic in
He's
the
moving it
town.
over about 5 feet, so you're going to have a sight line on the the one side.
True, but that creates an
don't-
additional complication,
But you
which
don't
is
have that now. So he's actually allowing you to see into his yard.
If you'd like, I could-
inaccurate.
I could
It's-
put a website where you could look at my backyard all the time, anytime you'd like.
I don't care about his backyard. I care about the height of his building that is so high that it will block sunlight. In fact, I measured myself the height of the new structure compared to the old
You're
one.
east-west, I mean, you're gonna have sunlight from 11:30 on.
Well, we have morning sunlight that's partially obscured by a tree that may or may not be there in the future,
house is
but a
almost-
lot of the light comes during midday.
I'm looking at the sun shadows from his house, and almost blocks your sunlight already.
Well, it depends on the time of year, particularly in winter, but I find it'll be blocking our view. And not only that, but looking from the house to the east, instead of seeing practically nothing, there'll be a giant wall. And it's big enough, it's basically big enough to put an apartment in.
Maybe he can have his youngest draw a mural for you on the back wall, so it works.
Okay.
Just a
I think
place
we
to
can-
look at.
Those are, anyway, my question stands. I don't understand why this should be approved. There's four variances asked for. They haven't had, they ignored our comments. My comment was basically, do what the Dugans did. That structure will be fine. And even if you did that, I'd be okay with the variance for it to be closer to the property line. But that comment was completely ignored. And so here we are.
Thank you. Anyone else? Sonia?
Closing arguments. Again, there was, the concern that was at the previous meeting was that the building wouldn't be allowed to be maintained. The building, I would disagree. I wouldn't say it is charming right now. It's dilapidated, it's rotten, there's vines growing up on it because nobody does get to this structure. The applicant did make a lot of changes to appease the neighbors. He didn't have to do that. He's trying his best. He's trying to be a good neighbor. Ultimately, regardless of what happens here, they are still neighbors. Neighbors should get along. Sometimes they don't, but they should. They should be looking out for each other. Again, we tried to, from every aspect, architecturally, we tried to make this application and this garage better than what it is now. We pulled it off the line in both ways. We changed the roof direction. We're not excessive with the heights. We don't need a height variance. The building will be nice and new and fresh. There'll be no vines growing on it. All the siding, all the roofing is going to match the house. It brings it into conformance because it doesn't match the house now. You'll have an accessory structure that matches a primary structure, and all while the applicant has chosen to grow his family in Somerville. He needs a little extra space. He doesn't have enough space in the house. It's an old house that doesn't have a basement. He's trying to do a modest garage addition here that's surrounded by 4 other detached garages. We hope that the board acts in favor of this application. Thank you.
Any comments from the board? No. Any comments from the audience? Comments? None? Okay. Someone like to close the public portion of this hearing?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Board? Any comments?
As usual, I'll start this little thing. I don't want to get into a neighborhood conflict, however, I think that the building that's there now deserves to be removed. It's not entirely on the applicant's property, it's on somebody else's property in part, and it's not in the best of condition. So changing that is important. I understand that the situation in that end of town, because I live in that end of town, where space and buildings and old buildings are crowded. So I get that, and we all look out a window or in our yards and we look at somebody else's building. That's just how life in Somerville is. We're not in Branchburg. I think if you're gonna build something, you wanna preserve as much of the green space as you can, which they're doing. We need a place for kids to play, which apparently they're doing. So I don't have a problem with this, and again, I'm not trying to get into a neighborhood problem. I think people will adjust to it once it's built. It's not that massive a change. It doesn't need a height variance, so we're kicking around something that they don't really need. they're reducing the FAR, I take it, Mike, a little bit. We're gonna reduce our water a little bit, so it's not creating more of a problem for the neighborhood. I see the need. He's got a growing family. We want that in this town. I'll support this.
Stu?
Yeah, I am, just kind of listening to the comments from the neighbors and just hearing the application. You know, to me, the applicant has done everything that he possibly could do to try to be neighborly. The removing of the gables, even addressing he could have went higher. I mean, if he wanted to, but he chose not to. He's turning the ridge around, so it's going to be facing, if we're looking at the picture, I don't know if he was able to discuss that, but if we're looking at the picture, it's going to be coming towards us. So to me, from an aerial shot, it looks more appeasing than what it's facing now, because everything else is going vertical. And in this way, it'll be, it's horizontal now, it'll be going vertical moving forward. Yeah, I mean, I'm in favor of this application. I think the applicant has done any and everything. I think his architect did a good job of showing us the different timelines of the sun coming in at different stages of the year. I mean, and that tree, the two evergreens that are there now, I mean, in terms of blocking the sun, I mean, I don't know what's higher than the trees, especially with the sun coming in from the east side in the morning. So, you know, that's how I feel.
I'm in favor of the application as well. I think that what you're doing here is getting rid of a condition on your property that is extending onto another person's property. That's a good thing. I think that the positives of getting rid of a dilapidated structure, replacing it with a new one that matches the primary structure is a good thing. I do not see that there will be a negative impact on the neighbors for the reasons that Mr. Allett stated earlier. Any sort of visual impairment is probably going to be minimal. And I think that we want people investing in the town, growing their families here. And I think that this is a smart project that makes good use of the land.
Right.
Yeah, and even the 5 feet of green space, really, you could plant arborvitaes that are gonna grow 35 feet, and that's all anybody's gonna see. So, I mean, that cut I know, because I have a little teeny property, and you grow these trees, and that's what happens. So, I mean, that could happen. So I think taking it off the property line and fixing that is a big deal. Because we all have a little bit of that, And so to fix that is a plus. And I think the reason you're doing it is a plus. So, yeah, I'm good with it.
Berta?
Well, you know what? Change is tough. And when you're accustomed to a location, your backyard, your side yard, whatever, and it suddenly changes, it's tough to accept that. But the applicant has done everything that he can to conform with our requirements. I think it's a major improvement, and I'm supporting this.
Rich? You done? Morgan?
I'm unable to vote. I didn't hear the first part.
Okay. In the same boat. John?
Ditto. I think there's a lot of good here. I agree with Roberta in terms of change being difficult for folks. I think this new building is not going to be excessively out of character with what's currently there. I do appreciate moving the building away from the property line to 5 feet. I think the 5 feet plus the cutting of the corners of the roof plus the turning the roof around, I think those are all measured all measures to try to minimize the impact. And I think it will minimize the impact based compared to what was previously proposed. So I think I'll support this.
Yeah, we got a conflict. At first, I was totally against this because of the location. But when you move the 5 feet off the property line, it's almost in conformance with if it was a shed. If it was a shed over 144 feet, you'd have to be off the property line 5 feet. If it was less than 3 feet. In my neighborhood, and we have small lots in my neighborhood, I have 5 neighbors that have two-story garages, and one just put up a shed. And I'm saying, this doesn't meet our requirements until I went back and reviewed the ordinance. It's high. The guy next to me, he has a 2-story garage. Right across the street has a 2-story garage. The compromises that you made, and they're not compromises, they were what we demand for you to be in compliance or as close to compliance as possible. And our job is to make, quote, the illegal legal. You've done a lot, and like Rich said, we want to see this kind of capital input in the neighborhoods. Where I'm seeing it where I live. I've got 14 houses in my neighborhood that have recently undergone renovations, and 6 more. One was here earlier. Change is tough. Change is tough. The only constants in the universe are change and a bureaucratic mentality. And I think what you're doing is going to be okay. So I'm in favor of it. Okay, someone like, or we already closed? Someone like to move? Michael or Cliff? What kind of conditions do we have?
Conditions of approval, you mean?
Yes.
Needless to say, we would want to have compliance with Michael's report and all comments therein. Based upon everything discussed in the record, I mean, I think that's the key. You know, there isn't a lot you can do in terms of what they propose to do is, if it's acceptable to the board, it is, I can't recommend conditions that change the terms and conditions of the development. So I would say that would be the extent of it.
Mike, you have anything?
No, I think Joe had said that he can give me some spot grades to show that the water is not being channeled, for lack of a better word, to one location. The existing runoff pattern will remain the same. And the comments about detailed sanitary sewer, I think the applicant was agreeable to providing details as outlined in my report, what Cliff said. So that's all I have.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I just wanted to confirm something on the record for Cliff to respond to. I was absent for the hearing, but I did thoroughly listen to the audio and video of the recording of the missed session, and I also reviewed the transcript, hence why I'm going to have an absent vote here. But I'm fully abreast of what transpired on the original hearing, April 1st.
You read the transcript and you're familiar with it? You can vote.
There you go.
You can vote.
You may want to, I was gonna say, and you signed a certification to that effect, so that's fine. You're perfectly eligible to vote.
Very good.
Someone like to move the application?
I'll move it with the conditions.
Moved by Mr. O'Neill, second by Ms. Carpenetz. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Chairman Ardadair?
Yes.
Roberta Karpenitz?
Yes.
Rich O'Neill?
Yes.
Brian Vadimski?
Yes.
John Flores?
Yes.
Eric Alvarez?
Yes.
Stuart Daniels?
Yes.
There.
Thank you. Good evening.
Thank you very much.
I will coordinate the preparation of the resolution with one or both of you, so,
Thank you, Mr.
At least.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
10 minutes?
thank you very much.
Ken's fine.
You can take a break.
Yep. Okay.
No one is entitled to a park setup. I mean, it's so fundamental in the MLUL, but you get people who just can't. They keep coming back and saying,
Yeah, that name is Eastern Europe.
Just about.
It could be that, although he said he needs room for his Christmas decorations. Yeah, it's in there. Yep, Eastern Europe. Yeah.
We did the right thing.
Yes, that's just Estonia. Estonia, really? Yeah. I'm always curious about names. But they don't like it. That was recently. You could just feel the tension. And they're likely to, who knows what they're going to do down there all that time money. They may do something for families that very wealthy guy.
Can we resume? Okay, what do we have?
Up next, we have application number 2025-018Z, applicant Nan Realty Holdings LLC, subject property 79 Route 206, Block 124, Lot 1.01.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Chairman.
Good evening.
Members of the board. Good to see everybody again. Jason Tuval, attorney for the applicant. As the board recalls, this is hearing number 3 on this application for a self-storage facility at 79 Route 206. So we've been through every single witness as part of our testimony. So you've heard from our civil engineer, you've heard from our architect, you've heard from our traffic consultant and planner. At the last meeting, the board gave us some direction on an issue that they felt had to be resolved, I think, before taking action on the application. So if the board recalls at the last meeting, which was early July, I think it was even July 1st, the board had requested that we eliminate or take the units that are on the first floor out of the flood. The board was concerned that if those units were in the floodplain, there could be certain ramifications that the board felt the public should not have to deal with. So this is what we did between that meeting and this meeting in order to adhere to the board's concern. So first and foremost, we removed the doors that were on the outside of the units in the first floor. So those doors are now removed, so they are not accessible from the outside. So that eliminates an issue regarding the flooding that the board was concerned about. But I think most importantly, we raised the entire area of that first floor out of the flood. So although we were not required to under DEP, if the board remembers, you heard extensive testimony from our civil engineer that since this was not habitable space, those areas did not have to be out of the flood. They could be in the flood as long as the area was flood proofed. But I think the board felt they wanted to take a more conservative approach, at least that was our opinion. And so what we did was we raised that entire area out of the flood 3 feet. So none of the storage units now are in the flood plain. So I just wanted that, I think we did exactly what the board wanted with respect to that. So that's number one. Number two is between meeting number 1 and meeting number 2, the board had asked us to put a security gate, if you remember, and we did that. At the last meeting, Mr. Cole mentioned this in his letter, and I think some board members also pointed it out. They felt that that gate should be slightly modified to give for some better circulation. So we did that as well. And then last but not least, we added a significant amount of plantings along the buffer to, I'll call it the Dunkin' Donuts or the shopping center property that ultimately then faces out towards the residential as you go a couple hundred feet away. So those were the big ticket items that we revised. I think we listened to what the board had to say at the end of that last meeting in terms of what the board felt needed to be modified with respect to the application. So all those items have been addressed in the revised plans that you have in your packet. We received an updated letter from Mr. Cole, all the items set forth in that letter we would stipulate to as conditions in terms of technical requirements. So I think we've done what the board asked us to do. So I'm going to bring back the witnesses so they could show the board and the public these changes that we made. So I'm going to start with Paul Swartz, our architect. We're just going to keep the testimony, Mr. Chairman, to the changes that we made. We've gone through the entirety of the application. So obviously, if there's a question, we're happy to answer it. But in terms of the direct testimony, we're going to keep it to the changes that we made between the two meetings, if that's okay.
Fine.
All right. So what I'd like to do is recall Mr. Swartz. He was sworn at, I think, meeting number 1. But I'm going to recall him, and we can obviously go through his testimony.
Mr. Swartz remains under oath. That's fine.
All right. And Paul, your license is still current and in good standing?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. All right, so if you can go through what I explained to the board on the first floor of the building, what the applicant did in terms of lifting the storage units
Yep.
out of the flood, eliminating those doors. If you could explain that, please.
Absolutely. Good evening, everyone. Again, Paul Swartz. Jason basically did a quick outline of the changes that we made, and primarily, I'm going to let Dylan sort of show the location by the cursor. We've basically, the gate now is inboard, so it alleviated any of the concerns of backup with regard to traffic that might be coming in here. And as noted, the major change is the elimination of the exterior doors on the back of the building, on the back, where Dylan's showing that right there. Everything is internal. So we are coming in, the main entrance remains in generally the same location coming in. The lobby area is below or in the floodplain or in that general area, but all the occupied spaces are now above that. So as you come in, there's a ramp and/or a stairs that takes you up that 3 feet as well, and there's another stairs on the other side, and then there's an exterior ramp that would get you from the back of the building up, so as the second means of egress, as well if anybody wanted to use that as the means to get there to the storage bins. Those are the major architectural issues. We've eliminated one of the units. We're going from 17 on the first floor down to 16. The other things are that, maybe zoom out there, Dylan, a second. We do have where we've create more of a buffer. So again, along towards, especially in the back, we have some higher trees. So that's been added to the overall plan. And other than that, I think we pretty much have, and frankly, I think, we've listened to the neighbors, we've listened to you folks. We've simplified the north elevation. Again, we've taken most of the windows out. So, except for one on the one corner to sort of turn the building a little bit. But I think we basically have satisfied, we've heard what you folks have said and made those changes accordingly.
And Paul, just because I had this question, the board or the public may have it. Even though you raised that first level out of the flood to 3 feet, the building height did not get taller, correct?
That's correct. That's correct. Still remains at the 71 feet as it was before.
Okay, I just want to make sure everybody was aware of that. Okay, and any comments in Mr. Cole's latest letter that pertain to your area of expertise, the applicant will comply with as a condition of approval?
That's correct. Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Okay.
I will have, Mr. Chairman, I wanted Paul to, from an architectural standpoint, explain the floor plan change. I will bring back Mr. Much to explain the civil aspect of the change as well. Okay.
Anybody from the board have any questions of Mr. Schwartz?
I don't.
Anybody? First floor was your thing.
Yep.
Anybody from the audience have any questions of Mr. Schwartz?
I have one question on the ramp. The ramp, they're all complied, ADA.
Yes,
I checked them.
absolutely.
But the ramp on the north end is right at 8.3% slope, which is right on it. There's no wiggle room. If you go to 8.4, it does not.
We
I
were
would be-
required to conform to
If
New
you could
Jersey
be
codes, and therefore it will
soften it
conform.
down a little bit
Yes.
to like 7.5 for construction variation. I just don't want drama should the board approve this. You go out with a smart level or you get an as-built survey and that ramp is off by a smidge, then it doesn't comply.
So noted.
Right.
Not saying it
I
doesn't
get it.
comply,
We've
it
been-
does
we've been
comply.
there. We've been there.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
Anybody from the audience have any questions? No?
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so I'll recall now, Paul Much. We'll do the polls first, and then we'll go.
Mr. Mush has been previously sworn, so
Yes.
he remains under oath. Welcome.
All right, so, Paul, you acknowledge that you remain under oath,
Yes,
and your license is still current and in good standing?
that is correct.
Okay, so you heard what I had to say, you heard what Paul Swartz had to say regarding the first floor. If you could just explain the civil aspects of the changes that you made.
Yeah, certainly, and I just want to piggyback a bit on the testimony that you've heard so far and just what we did as far as the flooding concerns. I think it was the primary concern that we had previously. So we made two primary changes here. So just for some of the engineering jargon, the existing flood hazard elevation, and we actually had a previous application on this project, was determined to be elevation 51.5, roughly 1.5 feet above the existing grade of the existing building and a foot higher than what our previous finished floor was, which is why we talked about all those flood-proofing things. That was a state delineated flood hazard area that was verified by the DEP. The new rules have since been passed, and that design flood elevation was increased by 2 feet to 53.5, elevation 53.5 on the site. So there's two primary changes. Obviously, you've heard that we've removed the exterior roll-up doors, so the concerns about those doors being left open in a flood and or the emergency response not placing the planks and the dry flood proofing, the things that we talked about at the last meeting, it removes that concern. It's a solid wall. There is no concern there anymore, and all of those units were raised to the new flood hazard elevation of 53.5. So even in that 500-year flood, which is essentially what the rules have been rewritten for, what we saw in Ida, all of those storage units would sit above the elevation of the flood. We couldn't accomplish that for the entire building because we still need to get people. We can't lift the whole site because of flood storage regulations. So we still have to get customers from the ADA parking area into the lobby entrance. To Michael's credit, we have a tight ramp there, but we did have to add a ramp in. You can sort of see that depicted outside that lobby entrance. What we did do to the lobby to just further the flood considerations here is we raised that floor elevation by a foot to get it to the old flood rules. So now we essentially like stepped the building where the lobby is now at the old flood rules. So like we'll call our, the old school flood of days past, that lobby sits above that. And then for the new flood rules that are looking ahead for all of the climate change models that they have in the state, the units will be above that. So the flood proofing of the building that we need here is significantly reduced. There's one door and one entrance that goes into the lobby that would be flood proofed as part of this application to keep the water out. And even in a scenario, all kind of the doomsday scenarios we were talking about last time, the planks don't work. The planks aren't put in. Something floods. Only that small area of the lobby would then have water in it. So you're not going to have the risk of storage units and things floating around. It's just the office area. It's just that very small area at the corner that would be below that future IDA type flood hazard elevation. Oop, kick the wire. We're back.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean that really just summarizes all of the considerations that we've made for the flood based on the feedback that we received at the last meeting. I think we've done a really solid job of just lifting those units out of the flood and eliminating the risk even in the worst case scenario. In addition to those changes that we've made, we've also shifted the gated access further into the site, like we talked about. Vehicles, if they were to approach overnight, would no longer be blocked at the entrance to the building and have to back out onto the highway. They would have room to circulate in, use the full 16-foot width
of the ADA parking area to then make a K-turn and leave the site. So, just leveling up on some of the concerns and feedback that we received from the board as we went. There's also been, over the course of the project, we've obviously made some changes. There was, as you saw on the landscaping plan in the previous testimony.
Just refer to the sheet, Paul. when you
Yeah,
go
I'm
to it.
gonna scroll down through this. So, on sheet C11 is the landscaping plan. As highlighted by our architect, we have incorporated a planted evergreen hedge along the buffer with the Dunkin' Donuts development. And then what we've done is we've taken that area where the trash enclosure was previously, and we've incorporated a double planted evergreen hedge there, which is just the lot line that's closest to the residential. There was some discussion with the neighbors at the last meeting. Do we go fences, evergreen? The flood regulations kind of complicate that when it comes to a fence. So we went with a double planted evergreen hedge that will grow in very robust over time along that property line, in addition to the natural plantings that we're going to be adding to the wetland area to the north and east of the building as well. We moved that trash enclosure under the building. We added the roll-up gates. There's been additional street trees and decorative and screening plantings planted along the frontage. We've also reduced some of the temperature of the proposed lighting here to a warmer Kelvin. So a lot of improvements and a lot of good collaboration from all parties, the board as well as the public, to get to the point that we are tonight with the application that you see in front of you. And that kind of summarizes where I'm at.
Yeah, and I'll just ask you the same thing I asked Paul Swartz, the architect. You read Mr. Cole's latest review letter?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, and as it relates to the any civil engineering comments, you will comply with anything that's outstanding in that letter?
Yes, we will.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
What will the temperature of the lighting be?
I don't have that off the top. I could look, but we just reduced it down from 5,000 Kelvin.
I think it's 3,500, Paul, but.
Yeah, I just didn't want to misspeak.
Like these?
Yeah, 3,500 Kelvin, yep.
Yeah, I think Michael's first letter requested us to reduce it.
Jason, there's a revised fire marshal report that, I don't know if you received this. It's simple. It just references the FTC. And it just recommends or states that there's a 2-inch diameter service from the FTC that goes to the building. He's recommending a 4-inch diameter and stating that it can't be copper. It has to be ductile iron. It's just a simple, I
Yeah, we
assume
can
you didn't
certainly
see it, Jason.
incorporate
I'd love to say yes and say it's okay. I just want to look at the architect and say, is that okay?
The only comment he had over in his other
Yeah, I'll
comments
just,
was
Paul, is that okay?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Okay.
the
Yeah, we've done it
service
before.
line connection from the FTC to the building.
All right, so the experts say we can do that, so
Yeah.
that's fine.
Just out of curiosity, where's the sprinkler room? Is it ground floor or first floor?
I think it's the second floor. Isn't there a mechanical room shown? It used to be on the ground floor, the double doors, and that was taken to the second floor near the elevator. There's a sheet. The second floor now is called out differently. It's 3, 4, 5. It's 1. The call-out difference is the mechanical room on the second floor. Oh, I do look at your plans in detail. So yes, the mechanical double doors were taken out. All the doors, the sliders were taken out of the ground floor. And I think it's on the second floor, to answer your question. And there's a front load trash delivery, and I have a little concern about the height. I know that the comment was we'll address that should the board approve this during compliance, the ceiling height. Obviously, they have to get a trash truck in there, so it's gonna work regardless. This is the question of the front loader will work, because you're gonna need 14, 15 feet, which I don't know if they have. Well, in the testimonies, basically, we're gonna make it work. If it's not a front loader, it'll be a rear loader. So we'll wheel it out, whatever it takes.
Yep.
To get the pickup of the trash enclosure, because the previous testimony was, we only have a couple employees, so they don't anticipate a lot of trash being generated.
Right.
Right,
If they come with the wrong truck, you'll know in a hurry.
right. The other change was the screening. I think it was clarified that the HVAC equipment on the roof is being screened. An abundance of caution, even though it's 63 feet in the air, but there's a screening detail shown on the architectural plan, so I don't know if it was there before.
Anybody from the board have any questions of Mr. Much?
Yeah, so just explain, when this property floods on the inside of that building. The only thing that's gonna get flooded is gonna be the lobby.
Yes, and there will be floodproofing as part of our DAP application for that door, but let's say it's not installed, flash flood, whatever. Only the areas, and I can zoom in a little bit more to make it a little bit more clear. Is that you can see in the areas that the architect had laid out, there's a couple of stairways and a ramp. It's only the rectangle at the bottom that
Right.
would be inundated with that water. Everything else is at or above the flood elevation, the new design flood elevation
Right.
for the DEP.
Right. And it did not change the height of the entire building.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yeah, and then if this flood does happen and the power goes out,
When?
when?
When
Yes.
flooded.
Backup power or anything like that?
Yeah, right now there's not a backup power, but again, this is not like a cold storage type building, so the conditioning of it is less important.
Yeah, John, they're showing that there's an open storage, parking area, which doesn't require in the UCC code a backup power generation. So the testimony was it's open, doesn't mean, closed meaning mechanical ventilation, carbon monoxide, but it's gonna be open, so they're gonna comply with the UCC code, so there's no generator required.
Yeah, I have a question. How are you able to raise it? I might have missed it, but how are you able to raise it 3 feet without increasing the overall height?
Well, the initial floor, we have to have a certain height to the bottom of the first floor for all of the vehicles that we talked about going under the building.
Right.
So the physical height above those storage units is different than what you'll need to get a vehicle. So there was room to play with that finished floor in that specific area because we have extra ceiling height on the
Yeah.
ground floor.
Yeah, I asked the same question.
Okay.
Because I was curious, but yeah, basically in simple terms, it was already an oversized floor to ceiling height, so that allowed them to raise the floor without raising the ceiling.
Okay.
Right, did I say that correct?
Yeah, so there's a sprinkler requirement, it has to be a 18-inch separation, which they think they can comply with that, from head, from the top of the storage units.
Yeah.
Okay. Guess you guys planned ahead.
Any other questions for the board? Anyone from the audience have any questions of Mr. Butch? State your name and spell your last name for the record, please.
Sure. My name is Atul Kumar Darji. Last name is Darji, D as in Delta, A-R-J-I.
Oh, just because I write down everybody's address, what's the address?
5 Charlotte Drive, Bridgewater, New Jersey.
Okay.
My question was, now that you've raised the ground floor, how does that impact the drainage of the water? Because I heard you didn't increase the height of the whole building, right?
Yeah,
I have a question, because you're not from the borough. I mean, what is your interest in this application?
I drive by this is off of 206?
Yes.
Yeah, I drive by 206 every day, go to stores, shopping nearby.
So
So you don't own property, but you don't own property in Somerville Borough, do you?
I do not own property in Somerville Borough. Okay,
Okay,
is that the standard here? I thought.
Again, I question what your interest is in this application.
Route 206, is this property off of Route 206?
Yes, it is.
Okay, that's my interest, is I travel Route 206.
Route 206 is a state road. I mean,
Okay, so this property does not have an entrance on Route 206?
Yeah, it's on Route 206.
Okay.
I'm challenging your standing to be able to
Okay.
comment on.
Okay, you're refusing me to testify and ask
No,
questions?
I'm not refusing anything. I'm challenging it.
Okay.
What does that mean?
What do you mean, what does that mean?
What are you challenging?
Challenging his standing to be able to comment on the application because he doesn't live in the borough. And I don't know what his interest is in the application. I mean, the standing rules are to be handled liberally, but there are limits.
What's the limit?
The limit is whether it's unreasonable to really be in a position to comment on or object because you're not within the confines of the municipality.
Well, we're at that question point right now, and I think the only way we're gonna be able to find out what it is let him ask the questions.
No, that's fine if he wants to ask questions, but, you know, I guess I've given you the parameters of what I believe you can ask and cannot ask.
Okay. So I'm concerned about the flooding of Route 206, actually. So have you, how do you kind of manage the water drainage on that property now that you raised it?
So from a stormwater management standpoint, the difference of the floor elevation underneath the building has no impact on stormwater runoff from the site.
So how will the underground retention or surface drainage kind of, will it have any excess runoff or on adjoining roadways or anything like that?
No, all of this property today, or the vast majority of this property today, does not flow to the DOT conveyance system located in Route 206. It flows to the wetland complex that is to the north and east of the proposed building. That is maintained in the proposed condition, and actually the Somerville ordinance requires us to go above and beyond what the DEP regulations would be as far as holding water back and infiltrating it and reducing the rates that go into that area. But the overall impact of this building is separated from Route 206 from a stormwater management standpoint.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Does anyone else from the audience have any questions of Mr. Butch?
Mike Fratro, 85 Washington Place. So about 100 feet or so from the back of this property. First one, you were talking about the temperature of the lighting. Can you go into a little detail on what the lighting looks like, external lighting that we would potentially see from the neighborhood?
So we went through that, not that it's not an important question, but we went through that extensively at some of the other meetings. It's up to the chairman. Do you want us to go over that again, Mr. Chairman?
Quickly.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, it's fine.
Summarizing it?
Yeah, no
Yeah,
problem.
so
No problem.
Big deal.
No problem.
the benefit of this application is that all of the lighting is proposed underneath the building. So in a scenario from what will be seen from the neighborhood, the building, this is a unique scenario where you do not have commercial area lighting that's creating a sky glow. Everything is contained under the building. So there's, as we've shown in the architectural renderings, there's screening walls that have the openings that allow it to be an open garage, but certainly screening walls. And then we've reduced the temperature of the LED lights down from the 5,000 Kelvin that you might see at a Wawa to the 3,500 Kelvin, which is the warmest LED light that you could have. So, you know, in any commercial application here, it would be substantially more impactful, but we just have the unique ability to hide the lighting under the building for this one.
Yeah, and also adding the additional screening that you did between this meeting and that meeting, the last meeting, also was beneficial.
Yeah, it's just, you know, piling on levels of factors of safety for lighting and glare.
Yeah, I mean, you might have mentioned this before, but about the windows on the upper floors, is there bright lighting on inside there? I think there was some tinting potentially on the windows.
Yeah, you might have missed this from the last meeting, but it's okay.
It was touched on in the first meeting.
No, it's
Yeah.
okay, it's okay.
I was-
So we eliminated, I think Mr. Swartz mentioned this in his testimony, we eliminated the glass on the elevation that faces the residential.
Okay.
So I think maybe you or one of your fellow neighbors might have brought that up. So that was eliminated. There's only, and also, as we stated for, we closed at 10 PM.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
but
And
yeah,
the
but to
lights
answer
go
your
off.
question, the glass has been eliminated from that elevation.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think the only other question for this testimony would be about the trees in the back and I see that you added some extra ones, which is great. Is there a way to do something that would prevent deer from coming and eating them? The neighbor at Morehouse, which is the one that owns the Dunkin' Donuts, they have a fence along the whole back. So if you don't have a fence, I can tell you that originally they had put a bunch of evergreens there, and it's all deer food. So would there be is there any reason why a fence couldn't be put there, which also deters people from cutting through? Because you cut through there, you end up in the neighbor's yard, and that has happened over the years.
Yeah.
But it would protect some of those plantings, if that's the type of planting you're putting.
Kind of a catch-22, Mike. fences. The fences catch flooding debris.
Yeah, so that's part
But
of
it
the.
does block the deer
DOP
from
doesn't
coming
like it.
through.
That's the
There'd be a
problem.
high fence.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's certainly part of the reason why we did not incorporate a fence is because the flood regulations kind of impact our ability to put a fence in there. I mean, we could do a chain link
I mean, it
fence
could be
or
a chain
something
link
like
fence
that,
for that
but
purpose, yeah.
you know,
And I think you did mention additional plantings. You said that would they be outside the boundary, or, I'm not sure where this property line is
Well, we
relative
could put
to
the plan back
everything.
up. We could put the plan back up so you
Okay.
can see it.
yeah, all of the proposed planting for this application are inside our property line.
Yeah,
We've just
the black is the
we've
property line.
increased the density and the quantity in the evergreens at
Mainly in
that
that
corner
corner.
of the building.
Yep.
Anywhere that we could. You have to do more natural planting when you're in the transition areas, but
Yep.
in that area where you see the double planted hedge there, that's where we could make it the most dense.
Okay. That's all, thank you.
Yeah, the other thing on the fence is there's a retaining wall there.
Yeah,
It
that's a
was
good
put in for the Dunkin' Donuts, so you have a 3 or 4 foot wall where the Dunkin' Donuts is, that was just put in.
Yep.
Now you put a fence.
I'm thinking more at the very back, like
Right.
where their dumpster enclosure is.
Yeah,
and
but it's
then
also in the
this
wetlands.
back prop,
Yeah, I-
the line going out there.
Right.
Kind of to tie into
Yeah.
where, because their fence wraps around their
Right.
dumpster enclosure. If it came up and met that,
Right.
then that would create
Mm-hmm.
a barrier.
Yeah, to just address the gentleman's question, because I do think it's a fair point. If we're allowed to put it in the wetlands area there, we can look into it. We're happy to do it if it's legally permissible. But if it's not legally permissible, then we can't do it.
The other thing that was changed on this, and it's really is a place, I think it's more of a placeholder, is there's a hot box that was added to the plans, just in case New Jersey American requires a hot box, which is a fancy way of saying a box where they put the valving in.
Okay.
It used to be in the ground, then New Jersey American said you can't be in the ground, and then they have criteria. I'm hoping that this building, should the board approve it, is close enough to the road that a hot box is not required for the aesthetic reasons, but it's shown just in case it is required.
That's correct.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions? Yes.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Joe Pomar, P-O-M-A-R, 77 Washington Place, Somerville. And I'm wondering if we could put the, just very quickly, the elevations up, the 206 elevation and the north elevation. That way we can, all of us, just see what the, because Mr. Swartz mentioned there's one remaining window, I think, on the north elevation.
One as it turns.
Joe,
As it turns.
Joe,
so-
you missed your chance. Paul was up here before. The chair-
Oh.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
What
I'm kidding. I'm joking around. I'm kidding.
I could.
I'm kidding. We'll bring
I
it
could
back.
say that I'm asking about the temperature.
I'm teasing. I'm teasing.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll bring it
Okay,
back.
here.
That's
Thank
a
you.
good point.
Yeah, maybe you should have rendered.
Yeah.
All right,
and,
so
and,
hold on a
yeah.
second. So we'll bring Paul Swartz back up, the architect, just to answer the gentleman's question.
Yep. So Joe, you're correct. There is one window, but it's an architectural sort of way to sort of turn the corner of a
Yeah.
building. So
Yeah.
that's all we're doing. We could easily eliminate it, but it's just, we feel architecturally it's a better solution.
It's your move.
But it's closer towards, obviously, towards 206.
Right, I got you.
But you're right. So, I mean, that one on the corner, the rest of the facade, and we've got some samples here to show it, is generally just sort of, it's an aluminum product, but it looks like wood.
So, Paul, is that translucent material?
Yes, it is.
So, at 11 o'clock at night, the property's closed down. Will there be lights behind that translucent panel?
Well, I think they're off, they're off at 10 o'clock.
Yeah, they would be, I mean, they'd be off, the facility closes at 10 o'clock. Obviously, you got to give them some time to close. I mean, maybe you get 15, 20 minutes. But yeah, but after that, it would be shut down, correct?
Right, and we, in the last meeting,
And when I say that, there might be like an exit light on emergency things,
yeah,
but not
the reason
regular
I
lighting.
ask is because we've had experience where the neighbors, you know, you just don't want to be the person that then has to call and say, hey,
No,
it's 12 o'clock and the lights are
No,
still
I
on."
understand, Joe. It's you don't want it to be an enforcement issue. I
Right.
totally understand that. But that's why, I mean, there's no hours of operation requirement in the ordinance, but we're stipulating to it as a condition of this application. So it would be, if it were approved, Mr. Gibbons would put that in the resolution and.
Yes.
And
It
we
would be-
would have to,
it
we would
would
have
be
to
in
abide
terms-
by it.
Okay, and then very quickly to
Sure.
keep things moving, because I know we.
Which
we've
poll,
been ta-
which poll do you want?
So, Paul, the last meeting we talked, there were some sconces on the 206 elevation, I think it was. And the question was, I thought those were down lighting, but I think they were showing an up light washing the
Oh,
wall.
you saw the one rendering. You want to help me out here?
Yeah, it is uplighting. You're right.
Oh, is
correct.
it? It's, yeah.
At least on the, right
Yeah,
there.
there we go.
Yeah, I
Right.
thought we had talked about having only down lights. But I guess the bigger question is there any of that sort of lighting on the north?
None.
And
None whatsoever.
and the
Right.
east side?
It's just basically on the facade that's on the south as well as the facade along
Okay,
206.
great.
The only other lighting would be sort of some simple box lights that are required because of code over exterior doors and the like. So that's really it.
Got it. So Mike, you're aware of that? Okay. And then I guess just for informational purposes and as we continue to discuss here, it might make sense, a lot of times, like when Paul's setting
question?
up, we go past, the question is, could we see sheet 1, which shows the distance of the building from the residences? So there's a sheet here where you have.
That would be on the civil plans.
Correct.
Paul,
Yeah, I think
Paul
that-
Much, do you want to come back up? You want to see the aerial.
Yeah, I think as we begin, the rest of our conversation, it's probably be a good thing to look at.
All right, what's the specific question?
So sheet 1, where you show your 500-foot radius,
Sure.
and so the aerial map there, so just, I guess in a form of a question, it's, I'm hoping everybody's aware of the proximity of the building at 5 stories to those residences there. So that first dotted line, Paul, is 200?
Correct.
It's 200, so I believe my house is in that ring. And then the 500, you'll notice, is the very southwest corner of the Wallace House site. That's that green site there. So I think, there's been a lot of talk about this as a property on the highway, but I think this plan really establishes that, yes, it is a property on one side on the highway, but it is in proximity to residences, and I felt it was important that, we establish that dimension there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anyone else from the audience?
Good evening. I'm from Bridgewater. I'll state that off the top. I'm a concerned citizen and resident of Somerset County as well. So if it's okay, I'd like to ask a question. I can give my
You can
name and
certainly-
address.
You can certainly ask a question, but I mean, I think I gave the parameters to the previous person. I mean, if you're here for, I don't really know that you have standing on this application, but you can ask a question.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Sure. My name is Carolyn Joya. Last name is Gioia. I live at 1402 Paley Court in Bridgewater. And I've been paying a lot of attention to storage facilities. There's one going up in my town, actually 2 going up in my town. And this is really more a question for the architect in terms of how did you determine the size of the units that you were putting into the facility? Was that something that was?
We spoke about the floor plans at prior meetings.
I think that was asked and answered, actually.
And that was just something, they gave him his marching orders, we want to put one in this big, design it.
Yeah, my question comes from the fact that I've heard testimony previously that the size of the units that you're putting in weren't really of demand, and I was wondering if there'd be any plan to make smaller units. I was under the impression that smaller was more in demand, and if that would ever be considered down the road.
Well, Paul, can I
Yeah,
just
go,
chime in
please,
on that?
please.
The testimony from prior meetings was that the layout, the actual layout inside would be, the size of the units were based on market conditions. They would comply with the sprinklers, but the actual units, it was originally 444 or 424 units, and the testimony was that it would be plus or minus 10 or 15% based on market conditions. On the revised plans, it's 627 units, and there's actually more variation shown than the original. There's 10 by 30s, 10 by 20s, 10 by 10, 10 by 5s, and even 7.5 by, I think, 10s. So there's a whole litany shown on the revised plans. But Paul, unless I'm misspoken here, I do believe the concept was to show a whole bunch of stuff, but the actual number of units is going to be based on what the tenants or renters want to rent. What size is the hot market?
Based on demand.
Based on demand. So the testimony was basically, they're showing a floor layout, but it's going to change down the road based on demand, so it was plus or minus 10 or 15% based on what was shown in the floor plan.
So this is a shell, in a sense? Is this a shell
It's just
construction?
Modular units.
It's a shell that will be filled up with a bunch of boxes based on the demand of this area,
Oh,
which is tremendous, by the way.
which is what?
Tremendous, by the way.
Oh, a tremendous demand. And I didn't see your demand study, but I've seen other demand studies. And again, I don't know if you've ever done any work in this area for, I hate to say the word data centers, but there's a trend now that storage facilities are going to be converted to data centers. I'm just wondering if this could possibly, or if a condition could be put in that this could not be used for a data center, because there's just so many storage facilities going up lately. It just kind of begs the question.
If there was a change of use, that would have to come before this board.
Yeah, the chairman said it. I was going to say the same thing.
Right. Yeah, but you wouldn't consider putting a condition in? I mean, if there's not going to be a data
not-
center, why would
it's
not put
not
the
allowed
condition?
in the- It's not allowed.
Definitely object as a board member to putting any conditions on this other than what we're here for the application. And I don't give a rat's ass about data centers. We're not talking about that right now.
Okay,
Exactly.
I understand. All right, thank you for addressing my concerns. Thank you.
Was that a fat rat? Anyone else? Okay, hearing none.
All right, last witness, I'm just going to bring back Mr. Seckler, our planner. I know he testified extensively last time. I think, you know, as an attorney and just making sure the record's clear, I just always want the planner to testify on the final version of any site plan or use. So he'll again just, his testimony will be focused on just the updates that we made.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
Again, for the record, Matt Seckler, and I recognize I'm still under oath.
All right, your license is still current and in good standing?
Yes.
All right, and Matt, you, I guess, reaffirmed the testimony that you gave at the last meeting, correct?
Correct. Again, I think my testimony from last time, I would essentially reuse as part of this new changes to the application. I think everything's actually been enhanced. I think, purpose A, which is general health, welfare and safety, has been enhanced by raising that bottom floor. Again, that was a concern of the board. I want to remind the board that we are far below what is allowed in terms of the impervious coverage on the site, which is obviously important in a flood-prone area. We are reducing the amount of impervious coverage compared to the existing condition as well. The site is far below the amount of traffic that can be generated from a site that is listed, that is within the B6 zone. So again, this is clearly an application that has been enhanced throughout this iterative process with the board and working with the board and providing a what I believe is a nice visual building that is compliant with a number of the zoning standards, and again, I think is better than other permitted uses on this property.
All right, so you would reaffirm your testimony on the positive and negative criteria on particular suitability, and would you say that the changes that you've made, that were made to the plan, have just enhanced your testimony on that?
Correct, yes. I don't want to go through the half an hour or so testimony again. I would just say it's enhanced, it's been improved incrementally, as you've heard, the changes that were made by the site engineer and the architect that went before me.
Okay, so the additional plantings would in your mind, further advance the positive and negative criteria testimony that you provided?
Correct. Again, it helps shield the property from the neighbors. Again, while our adjoining property is also in the business zone, beyond that, as I believe a couple members of the public pointed out, within 200 feet, there are residentially zoned properties that will, again, help buffer our property from those areas, and obviously does enhance the visual environment as well. So again, it helps reduce any or potential negative impacts and provides a positive impact.
All right, and then as the board had requested at the last meeting, by raising all the units out of the floodplain, does that further enhance the positive and the negative criteria, as well as particular suitability, in your opinion?
Correct, yes. Obviously, this property is burdened with being in a flood-prone area. We do have certain elevations we need to hit in order to satisfy the DEP. We've been able to do that, and I'd say go one step above that by really raising all of the rentable units and basically all the space other than that one little area that was discussed. Again, I think does provide and shows that this site is particularly suited for this type of use, and we the positives with this application far exceed the negatives.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to get that on the record just as to the changes. I think it's just a prudent thing to do, and I appreciate the board's patience in that regard.
Anyone from the board have any questions of Mr. Seckler? Anyone from the audience have any questions on the testimony just given by Mr. Seckler? Just get rid of the gavel.
Yeah, Matt, thanks for your presentation last time. As you said, it was a half hour of speed reading, and so the positives outweigh the negatives. According to you, it boils down to the flood, to resistance to flooding. That's your testimony, correct, Matt?
Again, that is one of the aspects. Again, we discussed previously regarding the very small buildable envelope that is available on this property, and that is a reason why we are seeking some setback variances. Again, if you remember, there's like a little triangle, most of which is actually in an area we cannot construct because of the flood and the wetlands in the rear of the site. And again, I do know we've gone back and forth regarding the height of the building. Again, we are compliant with, or we are compliant or below what is allowed in terms of the maximum height. I know there was some discussion about, well, couldn't you rebalance the building and move, almost create a cake or a wedding cake effect.
Correct.
And again, while obviously there are many permutations of the building that can be designed, we could be, 10 stories in one spot, 0 in another. We could be 5 and 6 and variations, but this is the design that the applicant has decided to move forward with. And again, considering he is compliant with the size, I do believe that, this is a approvable application for the board.
Right. So the question I submitted at the direction of the counselor, the board's counselor, a little diagram of that wedding cake type of massing. I don't know if Paul had a chance to look at that, but I guess my question is, was that something, I think it was listed as 01 by Ryan, in terms of as an exhibit? Did you have an opportunity to look at my arts and crafts work there?
I can't speak from the architect, which would be the one that would be,
Right.
his brainchild. Again, I'm just testifying to this. Again, what you had prepared, assuming that, the footprint stayed the same, obviously would be, have the same variances and the same compliance as this design plan. Again, as long as within 10 stories, in the same footprint, we'd be seeking essentially all the same variances and be compliant in all the same ways as this application.
Right, but you would grant, putting this in the form of a question, that we, the neighbors, are, we're making a good effort to provide an alternative vision of what this site could look like. Would you agree? Would you agree to that?
I think that's, Joe, I've enjoyed our back and forth. I really have.
Yeah.
It's been very professional and cordial, and it's been great. I wish all public back and forth was like that. But I think the bottom line is we've done what we believe is our best job. with the changes we made regarding the aesthetics of that side of the building, the no lights on that side of the building, removing the windows from that side of the building, the buffering that we did. So we believe that we've met our burden of proof. If you disagree, that's your opinion, and that's perfectly fine. Everybody we respect each other's opinion, but I think that's where we are.
No, yeah, reasonable people are going to disagree.
And it's all good.
Yeah, and I also just wanted to, because we'll make comments at the end.
Of course.
And I want people to understand that we've made an effort to say, hey, here's an alternative design that would attenuate the structure closest to the residences.
And I think, like I said, back to you, and I think we've done a lot to accommodate a lot of comments and questions that the board and yourself and other members of the public have.
Totally. Yeah, and then the other question, and this is one for you, Jason.
Sure.
Not sure if this is permissible to refer to, but I watched online the hearing for the West Main property. And I noticed that you called as a witness there an appraiser who talked about.
Was it an appraiser? There was a operational witness there.
Operational, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I guess my question was, why was that used in support of that application, but not this one? And I'm aware
What's the
that.
relevance of that to this
Is there
proceeding?
Well, I think, so the relevance of that
I'm
is.
going to object.
Yeah, okay. So I would say the
Objection.
relevance is you put a self-storage facility in here. Let's say it's an oversaturated market and it goes.
Every application sits on its own facts, sir. I mean,
Right.
Bringing in something from another application is really not germane to this.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, no, not that's
But
the
I
way,
would
that's the way the law
respectfully.
works.
Say it in your comments.
What's that?
Say
Respectfully.
it in your comments. if you
Yeah,
disagree.
okay. So, Jason, we'll address it in our comments, but basically, it is applicable to the success or failure of a self-storage facility if there's too much.
That's a risk the applicant's
Capacity.
gonna have to take.
Right, okay. So, and when we get to the comments, I'll sort of talk about how I think that's germane.
Okay. Anyone else?
Okay. Oh, okay. So that concludes our direct testimony. I thank the board for listening, and I'm happy to give a summation after public comment,
Okay.
if that's okay with you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Board have any questions of Mr. Steckler?
I got one more question, actually. I'm looking at this aerial map and the Wallace House. Will the structure be visible from the Wallace House? Does anyone know?
I don't know if Paul Swartz knows that. I think that's probably close to 600 or 700 feet away, but I don't know if, Paul, do you want to answer?
I can't speculate. I don't think it will, but I don't know.
I mean, again, we said that the height complies and we shut off all the lights on that side of the building. And we added the additional buffering. So if those trees are going to be, once they grow, or even when they are installed, will be significantly higher than a single-family home.
Okay. Are you gonna do your summation after?
If that's okay with you, Mr. Chairman.
Anybody from the board have any more comments? Okay, we'll entertain comments now on this application, not any others. Comments from the audience? I gotta learn to hit this gavel quicker.
Mike Prothero, 85 Washington Place, again. Yeah, hard to capture all this. I think, one of the biggest things is certainly the size. It's just, I wish we were the previous applicant talking about a 22-foot high garage at their neighbor's yard. Here, we're talking
Which
about.
was allowed.
Here, we're talking about something different. We're talking about a 747 in my next door neighbor's yard. So this is a very large building. I know technically they're saying that it's not too high for what is allowed on this property.
Right.
But I look around and I see very few buildings that are 85,000 square feet. We've got a 2-square-mile Somerville. Isn't there a better place in Somerset County to put a building this large? I think if it was a reasonably sized, town-appropriate, local self-storage facility, no one would be opposed to it. This building is just really big to be right next to a neighborhood. It's really big. I know we have all the views from the highway. I'd like to see a view from my backyard what the back of a 5-story building will look like. So that's, I guess, the biggest thing. I think we talked a little bit about the market. I think Joe touched on that, and what happens if the business does dry up a bit. Now you've got this shell of a 5-story building. Who knows what could come into there?
We do.
What other businesses? You guys would. It would have to come across this board, but at that point, the building's built already. There'd be very limited parking. We don't have any control over that.
We do.
You guys do, yeah. I guess kind of my last thing is really, I did at one point watch a little clip of our mayor speaking to one of the local business owners. You may have seen this, Anthony Minetti, and he was talking about East Main Street is all green, the gateway to Somerville, the downtown. And he said whoever planned that was genius. So I think 206 is also really is a major gateway into Somerville. And why not keep it green? It's a place where it floods. Keep it green. That would be genius, as opposed to putting this big building. So that's my plea to the board is, can they find another place to put a big building, or can they find a small building to put on this small site? So, thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Let's see. Glasses on for this. So I'll try to make this brief, to sort of follow on what Mike had to say there. And but I did want to take some care and put together my thoughts on the property there. And I could answer the question. I have been volunteering at the Wallace House, and we're just about finished with the restoration of that property after 4 years. And as according to Paul's site plan, the southwest corner of the Wallace House property is 500 feet, or within, I believe it was 700 or 500 feet. But in answer to your question as to what you could see, obviously we can't answer the question, can we see a property that's not been built yet? But I can tell you, you can see from the Wallace House the new construction here at the train station, which is, there are 5- and 6-story structures now here as part of this. So I think, John, we could almost guess that there probably will be some sense of the presence of the self-storage facility from the newly refurbished, from soup to nuts, Wallace House. So I'm going to refer to that in my comments as well. Just because I think it's germane to Somerville and it's germane to the history of our neighborhood here. So Somerset zoning code rightly focuses on detriments to the neighbors of a project like the proposed self-storage warehouse. As many noted, during our last meeting, Matt Seckler sped through his testimony. Unfortunately, that effectively limited our opportunities to rebut. There was so much material that Matt got across so fast and so well that it was very hard to really keep up with him and get the notes there. However, I hope to capture some of what I think deserves some objection, and I'll try to be very quick. I know it's late. The application encroaches on the homes of Washington Place because it is too large for the site. It is also a non-permitted use proposed for a non-permitted building footprint in a wetlands area that is a known flood site, as documented by photos submitted in evidence by Mike Prothero. Its 5-story height will loom over our residences. We disagree that current zoning would permit such height, and this really is a discussion Jason and I have had before. Since the allowable footprint is minuscule, arguing 5 stories is permitted is a straw man argument, in my opinion, as I have commented previously. As it's currently permitted, one might do a 5 or more story tower that would be no more than a signpost stanchion in volume. This does not mean 5 stories and 85,000 square feet was ever contemplated by the current zoning plan. Metaphorically speaking, stacking 5 slices of deep dish pizza on a plate intended to hold a slice of apple pie is not doing a service to Somerville. Considering those impacts, does the board believe that granting this application would not result in a detriment to Somerville residents? At a 70-foot plus with mechanicals, 5-story height alone, the proposed structure will literally overshadow the residential neighborhood it adjoins. So the reason we are here is the application violates the zoning code as written. As one example, my home is a mere 70 yards away. So for anyone who's a Jet fan, you know that 70 yards, you know, you can cover that in 3 plays, even if you are the New York Jets.
Oh, the Jets are doing the whole season.
Yeah, exactly. Myrna Samsky's, Mike Prothero's, and others on Washington Place are even closer than my house. Doesn't this application substantially impair the intent, and I'm quoting here from the website of the board, the intent of the zone plan and the zoning regulations? For example, consider that in addition to working to the detriment of your recent Duncan approval next door, a 5-story self-storage box in a wetlands area will now, as Mike just mentioned, be the advertised gateway to Somerville as publicized by the mayor. Does that enhance the zoning plan? Does the board believe that going from a single-story diner to a 5-story, 70-foot plus, 85,000 square foot structure will not violate Somerville's municipal zoning code at this urban density? We understand the large size of the warehouse was determined to maximize the applicant's profit. That's understandable when you sit down to make a design. But this board must not be swayed by that rationale. If you are swayed by profit margins, then any property owner in town could argue similarly, and in the end, it'll have the effect of sweeping aside our zoning code.
I just want to object to something. We never argued that a profit margin was the reason for this project. So I just want to make that clear. That was never argued whatsoever.
We know.
Okay, I just wanted to make that clear.
No, we know.
But Jason, so it was not given in testimony, but in conversation with your client, the rationale was provided.
I don't believe so. But,
well,
but
okay.
You can continue.
Okay. We can certainly discuss that. Putting aside the short-term applicant developer's profit, so let's assume the idea is to maximize profit. Can we stipulate to that?
This is for comments, not for hypotheticals.
Okay.
Or projections or something like this.
Okay.
Please make your comments.
Okay. The clear benefit to the community that this board serves is in protecting the quality of life of the residents and the quiet enjoyment of the properties where they have long resided and where they pay significant taxes. Not to mention the fact that a persuasive case for demand for self-storage was not made to the board in this case. If one, we'll pass over that. If the market is already saturated with self-storage, why add more and grant a use variance to do so? I disagree with Paul that self-storage is necessarily a quiet use. With so much self-storage in the marketplace, this business could go vacant in a few years. At that point, the board would be asked to permit a far more active use and would be hard-pressed to deny. The time to anticipate such a deleterious use is now, while the zoning permits a far smaller and discrete user. Finally, after 4+ years, and this is my last point, you'll be happy to hear, after 4+ years of volunteer efforts, a complete restoration of the historic Wallace House and its grounds is almost complete. But the southwest corner, as I've said, of the Wallace House property is a mere 500 feet away from the applicant facility. That's about a football field and a half away. Our historians, Paul Saltis and Connor Dunham, told us that George Washington would walk west from the Wallace House headquarters to the great oak tree known as the Dividing Oak. The Dividing Oak stood very near to the applicant's site, possibly on it. On his walks, Washington considered his next moves in the Revolution. Today, if he were here and this board approves this application, he would find a 5-story warehouse. Instead of a self-storage warehouse, this site should have a Somerville Welcome Center something the size of a diner like the one that was there before, not a 5-story warehouse. This application, in my opinion, is greatly detrimental to Somerville and to the quality of life of the neighborhood. We rely on the board to uphold our quality of life. Respectfully, we ask that you deny the application.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anybody else? Oh. I think you gotta get faster with the gavel.
I'm Atul Kumar, Darji, D as in Delta, Alpha, Romeo, Juliet, India. My only comment is, and I know you guys are probably maybe tired of hearing this, but there are plenty of storage facilities nearby. Not really sure why Somerville Borough, which is a beautiful borough, wants to add another facility to increase to
That's
the
wrong.
gut.
That's wrong. We don't want to add another, someone came here and said, I would like to put a storage facility. We did not go out there and solicit, just as this complex. We didn't solicit this. They came here because we are a desirable community.
Absolutely. And I love this community, and I want it to remain a desirable community. Once a market is saturated with this type of development, there will be less use of it. It will stand empty and become dilapidated, and they will have to come to this
Sir, how do you know the
board
market's
again.
saturated?
Well, that's speculation, sir. Back 100 years ago, when Mr. Hoagland opened up the first Pontiac dealership in New Jersey, the third in the nation, who knew that all these other auto dealerships were going to come? It's market conditions are not something we can use to agree or to disagree with. That's on them. If it goes under, it goes under. That's on them. Then we have to deal with a change of application or change of use. But to say that the market is saturated, these are astute business people. And if this whole area can handle 7 or 10, that's up to them. If it goes under, it goes under. But that's not something that we can project or use as our determination as to whether to approve it or disapprove it.
It's fine. If it happens that they have miscalculated their business plans, they go under, they'll have to come back to the board and ask for another variance or use.
A use,
Yeah.
if it's something that's not allowed.
Yes, if it's something that's not allowed. And then the board has to decide whether to leave the property empty or to actually grant another variance to allow for more intensified use probably on a smaller property.
Just, this is all just like.
It's all speculation.
Yeah, I mean.
It's all speculation.
Any property in New Jersey or anywhere in the country could change over time, and it's just irrelevant discussion.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
I want to ask Jason, well, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
Jason.
this is
but-
time for
So
comments.
it's an irrelevant conversation. I mean, here's the thing, you need a variance to build the 5-story box. So it's really not irrelevant if the business isn't a going concern and you end up with a dog kennel back there
I'm not
as
even.
a replacement.
I'm not even-
Possibly.
I was
Okay.
gonna say, this hypotheticals and speculation, that, if you have comments, that's one thing, but
Yeah, I guess my
you're
comment.
talking about raising straw men yourself, and I don't think that's appropriate.
Okay, I'll just say, Jason said the gentleman's comment was irrelevant. My response to him is, I respectfully disagree. I believe it's very relevant.
You've indicated you disagree, that's sufficient, but Jason's comment speaks for itself.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? None? Someone like to move for the closing of the public portion of this application?
I'll move it.
Move second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay.
Board.
Can I just be, just a very brief, I know it's late, and I know everybody understands the project. At this point, I understand that. I just want to say that the application here meets the statutory criteria under the municipal land use law. That's our burden of proof here. And From a particular suitability perspective, we've made that case, and there's no expert testimony refuting any of the items we've done. In fact, if anything, we've agreed to Mr. Cole's comments, we've adjusted the application per his comments, per the fire official's comments, and we've gone above and beyond what the DEP requires with respect to flooding. And kudos to the board on that, because the board pushed us to go above and beyond what the DEP requires. So from a particular suitability perspective, the site is constrained due to wetlands, due to zoning, due to flooding, and that's the reason it's likely been vacant for a long time. And putting a building here and a use here that doesn't generate a lot of traffic, so from a DOT and traffic perspective, we meet our burden of proof. From a parking perspective, we meet our burden of proof. We've actually adjusted the plan per the board's and the public's concerns relating to the gate, to moving the trash enclosure onto the interior. So those things have even gotten better as a result of the dialogue that we've had between the board and the public. We've removed the exterior access doors on the ground level. We've changed the lighting, the architecture. We've enhanced or modified our operational characteristics in order to adhere to the public concern relating to the one side of the building. And we've made upgrades per the stormwater management system to comply with a major development per the township's ordinance and the DEP, and meeting the new flood regulations, not the ones that were prior. We've enhanced the landscaping along the perimeter of the site. We've enhanced the architecture on all sides of the building. We've reduced the temperature of the lighting. We've done many, many things here, and the board also has control, since this is a variance application, with respect to our hours of operation that we stipulated to, and various other factors that it wouldn't in the event that the use was permitted. I think that Mr. Seckler, Mr. Much, and Mr. Schwartz did a great job of designing this project, responding to the board's comments, responding to the public's comments, and the purpose of our presentation is to determine whether or not we meet our burden of proof under the municipal land use law, which I believe that we have. And this is exactly how the process, I think, should play out, where we present something, we think we have a good project, the board and the public make comments, and I think we refined it and made it better as a result of that public participation and board participation. So I would ask if the board would grant the application respectfully with all of the conditions, stipulations, and representations that we made throughout the course of these proceedings, which again, I believe, and I think everyone can attest to, made the project better during the course of the application. So thank you for listening. I know it's late, and I appreciate everyone's time. We've had 3 hearings on this, so thank you very much.
Cliff, Mike, what conditions do we have?
They're in the record, and I would have to
I know there are a lot.
go through that a little more thoroughly, but certainly, I don't think the board certainly did condition it heavily.
Yeah, we have our operational conditions. We have the conditions from Mr. Cole's letter. We have the fire officials' comments. So those are just, I would say, the higher level ones.
Like hours of operation,
Right, number of employees.
Yes.
Lighting, when it goes on and when it goes off. So all those things have been put into the record.
well, there have also been conditions that have been inserted based upon public comment and issues like that. So, I mean, it's all in the record. This is the 3rd hearing, so it's pretty extensive.
Okay. Would someone like to move the application?
We're gonna discuss it or move it?
We'll move it, then we have the discussion.
I'll move it.
Moved by Mr. O'Neill,
I'll second it.
second by Ms. Carpenitz. Discussion, please.
Should I go again?
Can I stop you?
Probably not.
Okay.
All right. A little bit of history of this lot. We talked about flooding. Historically, that has always flooded. I grew up in that neighborhood. There were cows there when I was a kid. 206 was covered with water frequently. This flooding is not new. It's not something that just happened. The present condition of that property is abysmal. It's been bad for years. It's been abandoned for years. That's all fill. When they built that diner, they piled up dirt, they leveled it off, compacted it, and drove piles in. The diner sat on piles, they're probably still there. Diner's been gone for a long time. We've had an application at least once for a car wash, which we refused. And the condition of that property is an embarrassment. If that's called the gateway, which I don't really think it is, it's an embarrassing gateway because it looks like a wreck. As far as that being a gateway to Somerville, that road is called 206 bypass. It was built to get 206 out of Somerville. 206 used to go through Main Street, down Bridge Street, into Hillsborough. That was built when they built the circle. So it's not a gateway to anything. It's how not to come to Somerville. That's what, and I've got maps in the museum I can show you. I think that the use is a quiet use. I've been in and out of storage facilities for years. You almost never see anybody there, an occasional other person. You get in, do your business, and get out. It's a quiet use, requires very little services. There should be almost no police, no fire, and there certainly won't be any kids going to school. Every time you have a project like here, everybody yells about the schools. That's not going to produce that. It's going to be a quiet rateable. As far as the historical area, the Wallace House, I'm not sure you'll see it. I don't think it matters because George Washington never saw the train that's 25 yards behind his building. You know, that area is not like it was in 1778, not 6. So I think we have to just move on. I'm in favor of the application. I think it'll be a quiet, decent use. It'll be a rateable for the town with very little expense, and I don't see a downside here. Is it gonna change? Yeah, like the prior application tonight. Get used to it, basically, is what we're saying. It's gonna be a noise block for 206. That 206 can be very noisy. It's an area where Jake brakes are used on the downgrade. This may absorb some of that sound and block the sound from getting into that neighborhood. At night, it's not gonna look like a lighthouse. It's gonna be dark. As far as the deer are concerned, I would recommend a shotgun because that's the only way of getting out of there. The deer are here and they're not going anywhere, so just get used to that too. And so I'm in support of it.
Stu?
Yeah, listening to the application and listening to the neighbors, I understand change is a difficult thing, but the one thing I believe that is what makes Somerville what it is today is change. It's the reason why we have so many people that are flocking and wanting to be here, and then people like the applicant wanting to invest in our city. I think this project, I'm in favor of the project for the simple reason is, we need ratables. We're 2.5 square miles. We don't have a heavy industrial area like Franklin Township. We're a small town. We're constantly complaining about taxes, but yet we don't want to allow development. At some point, we're going to get a new tax assessment. These are things that we want to think about. That's my personal opinion on it, but just from looking at it from the zoning perspective, the applicant came in, they provided us a less intensive use than what is typically permitted there. And I think they did the best they can to take the comments from the board, take the comments from the neighbors, and try to make something appeasable for everyone. So I'm in favor of the application.
Eric? I'm sorry, I'm thinking, Brian.
I think it's too big.
In height?
Height, too big, too massive. I've never seen any benefit from any rateable. I've been living here a long time, so that would never affect my decision. I think it is an impact to the neighborhood. I'm a historical guy, call me crazy. I think it's a nice building. I think it's a good location, except the floodplain seems to point to direction like nothing should be built there. I hate to be the odd man out, but I just think it's too massive. If it was a floor less,
if Washington, it might be just one little street that can see it, but that's still my town. That one little street's still my town. So if they're upset, I'm upset. That's how I sleep at night. So if it was one floor less,
Roberta?
Well, this has certainly been a robust discussion, hasn't it? We've had, and you guys have been great coming back. I think you've put forth a reasonable plan at the beginning. You listened to the residents, you listened to us, you massaged it. I think ultimately this is a good use for this location. I appreciate your willingness to interact with our community, and I will be supporting it.
First of all, great presentation. One of the best that I've heard since I've been on the board, and your team did a really good job. I also appreciate you listening, and that's a hard thing with people and professionals not to do. And I am in favor of the plan, and I vote yes.
John?
I agree with a lot of what Morgan and the others say, really well put together. There's so much to like about the plan, and the way that you have responded to concerns from the community and from the board. But the thing missing for me is a rendering from the neighborhood. I don't know if it's too big, to be honest with you, because I can't see it, right? But to have it, I wish it had been visualized for me, so I would know what it would look like from Wallace House, so I would know what it looked like from that neighborhood that's so close to it. That's the only thing I didn't get. There's so many good things about this plan, about this building. It's a good use for the area and all of those things. But I cannot support it if I don't know exactly what it, or approximately what it would look like from that community. It's the reality is, like we were talking about the other application, there is going to be change, but I don't know whether those 5 stories is oh, that's not too bad, or oh, that's really impacting. And I didn't get that part in the otherwise great presentation, so at this point I can't support it.
Ed?
So, you know, what to do with this property, it's an installation dilemma that the board has to take on. And obviously, some people will be happy and some people will not be happy. We've had some uses come before us for the space, and we really limited those uses because we thought it would impact the neighborhood. This particular project, yes, the building is big, but it also is probably going to be a silent neighbor. As far as what the market bears, you know, having children that are in apartments right now, looking for places to put their extra stuff, they're hard pressed to find it, honestly. I support the application. I think it's actually something that will work well on this site. I think it's a lot better than a lot of other uses that could go on this site, and some of those other uses would not have to visit this board. A lot of times on these kind of hearings, we kind of vet out some things that I don't think the public realizes, that there's other people watching. And developers are drooling to get into Somerville. They really are. When we build things here, people move in. That's the way it is. So when we talk about things can be a lot bigger, that's true. It can be a lot bigger. There's some things that can go there that would be very big, and it wouldn't come before this board. And so I think it's this application, as we've tweaked it, I think we've made it as tasteful as we can for the neighborhood. And so I do support it.
I think the synergy exhibited with the board, the community, our professionals, and the applicant has been outstanding. I think that Jason always puts together a team of professionals that come in. It gets hard to deny them because they do such a good job. Morgan took the initiative on the first floor and redesigning that to make it safer. Yeah, make it safer. And they went right with it. It's big, but it could have been bigger. That zone allows for 15 stories. And they're only giving us 5. That's a rough zone, a rough area. And it is, I think of it as a gateway, Rich, because when, at my job, I know that every Friday, I would get on my mower and go from Southside Avenue to 206, all the way up to Sarah Jane's, to make sure that the grass was cut and that we did present a good impression on people just coming in. Things are changing. Who would have ever thought that you would have this many storage units in this area? We were at Packers Market. We rode past there the other day. That's a big one, but it's a good use, and they're full. It's like the apartments in Somerville. As soon as they open the doors, they're full. Somerville is a very desirable town. I read an article in one in USA Today that our downtown is rated 14th best on the Eastern Seaboard. Not just in the state of New Jersey, number 2 in the state of New Jersey, but 14th on the Eastern Seaboard. New Jersey Magazine rated Somerville 5th most desirable small town in which to live. We're hot. Our market is hot. People want to be here. I think that the job that the professionals did on both sides of the table has been excellent, and I support it. I have no choice but to support it. So, you saying that? Would someone like to move the application? That's right, you did. Roll call, please.
Chairman Artadare?
Yes.
Ed Allett?
Yes.
Roberta Karpenitz?
Yes.
Morgan McLaughlin?
Yes.
Rich O'Neill?
Yes.
Brian Budimski?
No.
John Flores?
No.
Stuart Daniels?
Yes.
Okay, it's carried.
Thank you very much.
Any other business to come before the board?
Mr. Tuval, I'll
Chairman, I
coordinate
have
resolution
two
with you.
items.
Thanks,
for you.
thanks, Lou.
Okay.
One is, we've had an applicant be carried 3 times, maybe 4 times all year, that, Ryan, is this true? I think they're on for the first Wednesday in September. This is the PSC&G application that Morgan has brought up at the last meeting 2 meetings ago.
We're still working here.
Is there, how does the board feel if they can't make the next meeting? It's been
Send
carried.
a nice letter that.
Is there some policy or direction the board can give on how many carries or how this application should be heard or continued?
I think we take that up when if they don't show up, we'll take it up then.
Have they resubmitted anything?
Ryan?
No.
No. Okay.
The history here is, I wrote a report. Every time I write a report, they say they need more time to digest it, and they ask to be carried. So I bring it up because we don't know whether they're going to actually go to the meeting, and we do have an application that's trying to get on. So if the other application gets deemed complete, we would be adverse to hearing
put it on.
both
Put it on.
applications in one night.
Yeah, I'd put it on.
Yeah, put it on.
Yeah, we can
Right.
put- if they show up, they'll have to wait.
Okay.
There'll be no-
Next question, there's in the ordinance, the land use ordinance, a minimum date, time of 21 days, when it's deemed complete to hear it. I think I can make that work, but the board would have to waive that requirement. The 21 days is not the statute, it's not the 10-day, it's not a noticing.
All right, okay.
It's an ordinance requirement that gives the professionals time to digest the application and to get a report and for the board to review it.
21 days is 21 days.
Right, so if,
Because what happens, Mike, is you end up busting your butt,
Right.
coming here on the weekends, on your
Right.
days off, to appease them.
right,
And then you get it,
so that's the other hurdle that, we're talking about September 3rd, is that what it is, Ryan?
September 2nd.
September 2nd, which is right around the corner. So, there's two That's the two hurdles. Would the board want to hear a second application on that hearing date? And secondly, we have a 21-day ordinance requirement.
Well, if public service comes in with a revised plan, you're not gonna be able to get it done anyway, right?
Right, you have, a public service shows up, they could show up and say, we're gonna deal with the member and what I wrote. Or they come up with a revised plan, and Rich, I totally agree with you.
Yeah. So why
The
don't we
other,
put
the
it-
other one, application, is chopping at the bit, and it may be deemed complete in the next couple of days.
It's fine.
What's the other application?
It's a adult use in 4th Street, at the old Sorgy building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Adult use.
adult
Times
daycare.
Square.
Adult daycare.
Not Times Square. Adult daycare.
And I was gonna support
Literally
it.
adult.
Special,
So I'm just,
We have, on the 16th, we have Weston Avenue that we're gonna hear.
correct.
And I'm sure that'll be a whole night.
I said today that I doubt that would be appropriate to have a second hearing, because we might have a whole, just the public testimony might be 3 hours, as the board knows.
Yeah, he's that way sometimes.
So that date is obviously gonna be 2030, West End. The question is, it's the first Wednesday that, there's, I guess I'm saying, on September 2nd, it's right after Labor Day. If PSE&G doesn't show up,
actually, it's right before Labor Day.
I'm sorry, Labor Day is the 7th, I'm sorry. Yeah, right. So, the question is, if PSE&G has to be carried again, then we're gonna be off, because we don't have anything in queue. And I'm just throwing out that we do have an application that's,
Go with the application. Go with the new- put it
Okay.
on. PSENG second, number
oh,
second. Number two, and if they ask for a continuance, let's dismiss it without prejudice.
okay, so we'll deal with, if PSE&G, we'll deal with the next, on the 2nd, we'll deal with that case as it comes up,
Right.
whether they ask to be carried again, or what the board's policy on that.
Yeah.
Right, and I will get back to the other application on 4th Street and say if it's deemed complete, the board will try to accommodate that date.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I'm basically saying.
No, I'll be, I can certainly be there.
No,
It is not.
no,
Is it on you or them?
them. Them, it's not me.
Yeah, because I'm getting a little ticked off with them putting it all on you, Michael.
Well, when it gets deemed complete, then it's on me, right?
You only have 2 weeks.
I know.
Can you do it within 2 weeks?
Can you get that done in 2 weeks?
Well, it's back what the chairman said, I can get it done. It might be a little, I can get it done.
Well,
It's-
because
it's-
if not, then we wouldn't hear them until the 7th of October.
Right.
Well, PS is not that critical, actually.
PS isn't the concern, it's really the adult use.
Yeah, that's
on the
more of a
short
concern.
notice for
The
both-
adult use.
The adult daycare, right, sorry.
No, I know, I'm,
The issue is, the board wouldn't have a lot of time to digest the report, just the way it is. I'd have to turn it out, they have to get the noticing, there's a lot, it's very
But if you-
extremely tight.
If you're rushing like that, there's room for errors.
Look,
That you ever do that.
I understand, but if
Yeah.
the board, if I can make it, the board's acceptable to this.
It's
If,
like-
right? Okay.
It's like what we were talking about earlier, you know, having 2 meetings a month, and we've been doing this for a while, and we just finally got back to one. It takes a toll. It takes a toll on you, Mike. for
I got it.
You having to bust your butt to accommodate them.
As this board does, and both boards do, we just try to accommodate and keep things moving. The policy's always keep it moving.
Yeah, well, PS, it's not critical that they get an answer. They don't seem to care. supposedly.
No, PS and Ryan chime in. They've asked to be carried, but there's been nothing submitted, nothing.
Right, yeah.
And I sense the frustration that I think Morgan vocalized this, that it's screwing us up. We're getting late notice we're scheduled, we're changing schedules, and that's showing up, and it's not fair to the board.
not.
So, this date's coming up rather quickly, so I'm just letting the board know that I don't know what we're doing with PS at all. And at some point,
Yeah, we'll dismiss
this
it.
I'm following up what Morgan said. At some point, this has to stop. It's really been carried all year.
Yeah.
Literally all year.
You could dismiss it. You could dismiss it for failure to prosecute.
And I get the point saying we'll address that on September, the
Yeah,
first
so I
meeting.
think you
in
should put the other
And I
application.
want to understand that the board has that option.
Put it on.
Put it on, if PSE doesn't show up, we'll do what we need to do.
Because I think they've been leading us a little bit, and it's not really, I mean, sometimes it's press of business for an applicant, but, I mean, my God, yeah, we've been kicking it around all year.
Well, I think the comments the board made 2 or 3 meetings ago is to find out the day of the meeting that's canceled, when people have schedules, is
Oh,
not
yeah.
fair to the board. I think that was the comment being,
Yeah.
we're doing this, we're accommodating two meetings a month, and to find out, after you rearrange your schedules, the day of the meeting, we're not having it,
Right.
it's not fair to the board.
Or that they're not ready.
Yeah. I
I'm
mean, and
just
the- and the
throwing
other-
out what's going on.
And the
to
other
get-
applicants too, right? I mean, they juggle, yeah, to accommodate that. And
Just getting feedback, letting the board know what's going on.
So I think
I got the direction.
yes.
I'll let the use on 4th Street know that we can deem complete. The board will try the best to accommodate, so will I. And basically, we'll deal with the PSC&G at the next hearing. Whatever it is, it is. The board will make a decision how they want to handle that.
Depending how Ryan puts it on the schedule, we get a big crowd. You got it.
I got it.
Don't blame it on Ryan. Okay, anything else to come before the board? I had a couple of things, but we can deal with that later.
Sounds good.
Yeah, that's it. So now I'll move for adjournment? I'll move. Move, second. All in favor?
I.
Okay. In the words of Leo